Alrighty, good afternoon and welcome. For those of you who are viewing us online, we want to welcome you to this wonderful training opportunity where we are going to help you, by the grace of God, to be able to publish your book by the end of this year. This is a big challenge, we know, but it is more than possible when we share with you all the wonderful, exciting things that we have going on here this afternoon. So I know that some of you may be wondering, hey, is this really live? Yes, it is. If you're online, you should, just check down below and you will see actually that we are on live here. However, it is something that is going to challenge you and is going to be able to help you to realize that all things are possible. But we're going to share with you multiple ways in which you can get your thing out there and make a difference to the world. Huh? It's both. It's both. Okay. So this is the schedule that we are following right now. So we're gonna, of course, give a little housekeeping here. We're going to take it down into chunks. Okay. This is a workshop, that a presentation we normally do over the span of a couple of weeks. So we are trying to bring it down into 3 hours here because, again, it is deep dive. So get your notebook, get your pen, get your pencil ready, your laptop. We want you to be able to answer questions. The more you do right now is the less after the presentation ends for you to go and implement. Okay, the more you do right now, while it's fresh, while it's hot in your mind, in your brain, you will be able to see that it is possible. Okay, so let me just give you a little backdrop. Who am I? Right, my name is Chance. I'm a Navy veteran. I'm an author of 13 books. And we have published 6 online courses as well. My wife is an author. My son is an author. And so my mother is an author. We all are able to put books out there because we've learned some shortcuts. That's what we want to share with you on today. Because of my books, we've been able to do a lot of things which your book will be able to help you to do. That's one of the powerful things that people don't realize. Your book opens many doors. Your book is a ticket. Because of my book, we get into doors that we would not normally get into, even as a faith-based person. So we've spoken at NAP Medical Center, Genesis Lifestyle Center, Hacienda Healthcare, so many different places because of the book. So here is one of my books here, which we have quite a few. I'm going to show you some of them right here. We're going to be talking about these books here and how we got them out. So if you go on Amazon right now, look for my name, Ranjit Chance, you will see all of my books there. But not only have I written books, we've helped multiple people to get their books published. Now, don't think because I got 13, it all started like that, right? It took me 5 years. Okay, it took me 5 years to be able to get my first book out. 5 years. However, because of that, you will see now I've written a book in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Already? How is it possible? Well, we will get into all of that and we'll show you just how you can too. So here's one of my books here, Transition to Civilian Life. The first book I actually co-authored with someone. And so this is a book specifically for veterans, and you will see why we titled it the way we did also. Here's another one, Prayers That Move Heaven, which also was released when it was debuted, #1 on Amazon as a #1 best-selling book. But we will share with you how that came about. And notice the different genres as well. A children's book. And then we also have Monetize Your Skills, which this is the reason why I started doing more and more of these seminars, because of this particular book that people really, truly love. What we tell everybody, no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, every one of us can actually get a book out there and make a difference in the world. And here are just a few of the people that we have helped to be able to launch their books. So I'm going to play a short testimony, a few testimonials, and then we're going to delve deep into it. We want you to start off with some of these testimonials so you can see what's possible, but I also want to make sure that we are paying attention. So if right now you need to use a bathroom, get all your pen and pencil still, or your note-taking devices, I want to make sure that you are doing that. So make sure you get comfy, even if you're at home, in your office, wherever you are. We want to make sure that you are ready for this deep dive tactical training, okay? Already. So let's hear from Karen Malloy, who was one of my best students. When I first shared this when we were living in Huntsville, Alabama, Karen Malloy came to a workshop just like this one, and she went out and she actually published her book in 3 weeks. She was the first student that actually even beat my own record. And of course, I had to go back out and do even more homework and come back and publish a book sooner than 3 weeks. So let's hear from Karen Malloy and her experience.
Hi, my name is Karen Malloy, and I am a certified professional life coach and owner of MB Success Strategies. I am coming before you to tell you about my experience with R.L. Chance. I had the pleasure of attending his workshop on how to write a book. And I am happy to tell you that my experience was phenomenal.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Taurus Montgomery, and I am the best-selling author of Set on Fire. That's my book. My first book is called Set on Fire: How Life's Devastations Can Lead You to Your Destiny. And listen, I want to let you know that Randrick Chance had a major part to play in me completing this project. I'm talking about from the first time that I started and writing the book to throughout the process, from the cover design, encouragement, and to keep on pushing, to how to go about marketing the book. I mean, so many different ways he's really poured into me and helping me to become a published author. So far, within the past 7 weeks, we've sold over 1,100 copies. And I'm just grateful to him and to the services that he provides. So if you're looking to somebody to help you to get that book written, and not just get it written, but get it out there, right? Then Randrick Chance is your guy.
Hello, this is Dr. Cooper Dockery. I'm board certified in internal medicine, and I'm also a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I have been practicing medicine for over 25 years. However, over the last several years, I have focused my attention in educating my patients using lifestyle modification to take charge of their health. Many of my patients have reduced medication or gotten off medication entirely. Some have reversed chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. It has then become my dream to put my message into a book so more people would have the opportunity that will enable them to get healthy for life. So on November 16 last year, I watched a promotional video by R.L. Chance, the founder of Strategic Secret. I took his course. I took another course where he indicated that you can write a book in a week, in 2 weeks, in 7 weeks, and so forth. So I took him on the challenge, and I got busy working. And in 6 days, I called him. I said, "Hey, I have the book." Then he asked, "Has the manuscript been edited?" I replied, "No." He then said, "You really have a book when the manuscript is edited." He guided me through the editorial and the publishing processes. And within 2 weeks, my book was ready. The best part of my story is that within 6 weeks of my initial encounter with R.L. Chance, my book was written, published, and became the #1 bestseller. Strategic Secrets gave me the tool and valuable strategies that I needed to accomplish my dream. So I want to give a shout out to this magical team. And if you have a message that you'd like to share, please call R.L. Chance and his team, and they will assist you in turning your dream into a reality.
All right. So who will be next? Okay. Would you like to have results like these? Now, they don't come overnight, but indeed they can come when you take action. That's the operative word that we want to move by. Would you like to be able to write your own book for the holidays in time for Christmas? Now, right now, of course, it's October the 16th, but I tell you, you still have time. When you use our strategies, I'm telling you that you can get your book written and out there for the holidays. One of the joys of having your own book, like my books here, is that I am able for the holidays to give my own books to people. And it's a great feeling. I'm able to give my books to people from different walks of life when I do presentation, when I preach, when I do different seminars and workshops. It's just an amazing thing when you can contribute to someone's life and make a lasting impact that way. So that's why I'm telling you, it is more than possible. As you've seen there, Dr. Cooper, she took her book within a month, pretty much it was done, published, printed, promoted, became a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. Okay, different results, of course, but we know that if you follow what we're saying here today, it is more than possible for you to get yours out. Okay, if you want to take a week, if you want to take 6, well, we don't want to go 6 months because we're giving you a challenge. This challenge is for you between now, October the 16th, and the end of the year. But before Christmas, you want to get it out there for Christmas, or you want to get it for the New Year's, a New Year gift, New Year's Eve, or different things like that. If some of you want to be very ambitious, I'm telling you, you can even get it done in time for Thanksgiving, right? Black Friday is around the corner. So you can get all the holidays that are coming up for the fall. You want to get something out there. So you can do it in a month. if you follow what we're saying. How about a week? How about a day? How about even 1 hour? These have been my own experience. And again, everyone's experience and results may be different. But the reason why we're able to do this is because, again, we have strategies and tools to be able to do just that. Okay? So did you know that more people became published authors this year than were doctors who graduated from medical school? That's right. Even children are learning how to write and publish books, because with the tools and technology that is available to us, we can be able to do all of that. So 80% of Americans, this is some statistics out there, that about 80% of Americans actually want to write a book, right? More first-time authors also wrote and published books in this year alone than the past 3 years combined, right? We're also looking at, it's never been more easy than now to write and publish and even become a best-selling author. Digital publishing, this is the tool, this is the secret, this is the holy grail, as it were. Digital publishing has allowed us to be able to create any type of book, whether it is a journal, whether it's a business book, whether it's a book of poems. These are some of my students that we've helped as well. And so let me just share with you some of them to show you the case right here. This is Miss Esme Patty, who is a senior, right? We would say a nice, loving grandma, but she called me up. She says she has all these poems that I say, hey, you want to put them in a book? And so she created a book called This I Declare, a collection of inspirational poems to restore hope, love, and the peace of God. And so this is a wonderful book. One of the most recent success stories we've had also is Teresia Williams, who is a psychologist. She just created this book called Mental Wellness and the Church. This was just done in the summer here. And so again, you will find out how she was able to create this. And we just met her, I think, in June of this year, and her book was done and ready to go by the time it was August. And then a friend of mine who came here to this church and did a series on this very topic, 7 Keys to Highly Effective Preaching, right? And within a weekend, he had this book up and ready to go. This is the book that Dr. Cooper was talking about in that promotional video, where it was published in less than 40 days, went out there, printed, published, promoted, and became a #1 best-selling book. So here are some of my other books as well. So you can see the variety of which you can publish book. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be different thickness. It can be small. It can be, however you want it. It's your book, and you can actually make it so. So I'll save some of it for when I get to the section on what exactly you should write about. So again, anyone is my claim. Anyone. When I say anyone, I don't care if you flunked English. I don't care if you hate English. I don't care if you never graduated from school. I don't care what your situation is. So we, as you can see, we've had stay-at-home moms, we've had students, we've had those who are elderly or seniors, we've had young people. My son was 7 years old when he published his book. My mom is up there a little bit. She published her book. My wife has published her book. And so absolutely anyone and everyone who has a message and feel God has put something in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, you should be able to put something out there, because I'm telling you, books change lives. So there are 3 things we're going to cover today. Here are the 3 big overarching things we want to accomplish with you today. Number 1 is we're going to share with you why it is necessary and why we encourage everyone to be able to write a book. Second, we want you to know that you can do it in 7 weeks or in time for the holidays. So 7 weeks, you can get your book out. Now, again, we have most of our students, we get them done faster than that. But again, we're giving you 7 weeks. At a bare minimum, though, by the end of the year, we want you to get it out if you can. For those of you who are very ambitious, take the challenge of getting it done by Thanksgiving. All right? If you feel that's a little too audacious, then I want the rest of you to get it done by Christmas, before Christmas, so it's a Christmas gift, right? So you got to look at the first, second week of December. And then, of course, if you miss Christmas, then you must get it out at least for New Year's Eve and for the New Year. These will be the best time when people are buying all sorts of gifts. So number 3 is how now. This is where we're going to talk about the strategies we use, right? There are 7 steps we're going to take. 7 weeks, 7 steps. That's why we normally teach this over a couple of weeks. But the first 4 steps have to do with creating the book, getting it published. But the last 3 steps is basically focusing in on this aspect. What do you do with the book once you get it published? We want to show you how you can take a book, turn it into a ministry. For those of you who are faith-based, turn it into a business, or even a series of books, a series of stories, whatever you want to do, a show, all kind of things that people can do, turn it into a podcast. It doesn't matter. All of these are options, and that's part of the reason why you should write a book. So here's the big overview, okay? Are you ready? This is the challenge. Are you ready to take the challenge? This is my challenge to you. Are you ready to write and publish your book before the year ends? Okay. Now, so here's the overview, right? This is what we're going to look at. We have 7 steps. This is our 7-step framework. We call this the Book to Business Boot Camp, and the blueprint that we use to create books, no matter who you are, no matter what your background. Again, it's, if you have academia, praise the Lord. If you don't, it's okay, no matter your background, okay? Again, we've had so many different things you've seen in some of the trailers at the very beginning. Orlando Salinas, who, was in prison for about 13 years or so. He was able to be released and publish his story, and now he uses book as a motivational speaker. I'm telling you, your background, it doesn't matter what it is, you can write and publish a book. So 2 phases. Again, we deal with, one is the book creation system, and where we say the business behind it, because that's what most people leave out. How do you market and promote the book? Because one thing is to write it and get it done, but some people fail, or that's why they say it doesn't work, there's no point, because they don't understand the second phase, okay? So, but all you need is the first 4 steps, really and truly. If you get the first 4 steps down, because some people want to do it for passion, some people want to do it for pleasure, some people want to do it for profit. It doesn't matter what you want to do it for. What matters is you get your book out there and you make a difference in people's lives. Because again, book changes lives. So now, the first phase, this is the book creation process. Involve, 1, we're going to plan it, 2, we're going to produce it, and 3, we're going to print it and then publish it. So those are the 4 simple steps, okay? And they all begin with P's to help us to remember, right? So plan it, because you got to have a plan in order for you to create, right? We want, if you plan it right, the execution, the other steps will make it very easy. Then we want to produce it. Right? This is where we're going to go into now editing, designing, formatting, all of these different things that people got questions about. Then we want to print it. Well, if you're producing an all digital one, you can even skip step number 3. But if you're doing you want a physical, tangible one, then you will know that you probably don't want to skip this step on printing, because many times we find errors in books, even after you've done your due diligence and even paid editors and the best of eyes to look at it, things can be out of sync. So you still want to print it, to proof it, etc. And not only that, but sometimes not only do you want the distributors to print and promote your book, but you might be able to have some quick prints done for yourself for speaking engagement, presentation, seminars, workshops, that type of a thing. And then publishing. Publishing is the simplest of these 4 steps, okay? Publishing I know that today we feel that that's the hard stuff, but I'm telling you from experience, that is actually the easiest of the 4 steps. Then now we're gonna go into gears a little bit. But again, here's the thing. If you can stick with me for these 4 steps right here, I guarantee you can create any kind of book, nonfiction book, devotional book, workbook, cookbook, activity book. It does not really matter, memoir. All of these things you can create. All you need to do is follow the steps, okay? Follow the steps. And because I've done it for myself, okay? I've done it for myself a minimum of 13 times, and I've helped countless other people to do the same from all walks of life, okay? Including kids, including teenagers, including folks who are not even yet in college, okay, including professionals who have degrees, psychologists, doctors, etc., all walks of life. People have to just simply follow the steps. Forget all about the issues and the other hard things that people tell you. You don't have to do it hard, okay? You don't have to do it hard. As a matter of fact, I learned this in the Navy. They say, if you're doing it hard, you're probably doing it wrong, okay? So they say, keep it simple. Already, they use another word there, kiss it. Keep it simple, but we're going to say saints, okay? Keep it simple, saints, okay? Now, the next 3 steps now, because it's 7 steps. All you need is the first 4. to be able to publish and get your book out there. But if you want the book to do a lot more, to reach the world, to change multitudes of lives, etc., and to be able to use it for other things like creating a ministry, creating a business, or something like that, then you're going to need these steps. This is where most authors actually fail, because there are several phases that you can think about this journey as. One, you can become a writer, then you can become a published author. Because some people are writers, some people are authors, but then they're published. There's some people don't publish their work officially to put it out there into the world. But then there's a best-selling author, and that's the difference. Now, that's the difference that separates the majority, right, from the very few who make it, because people neglect this part. I just have a wonderful idea. I want to write my book, and that's okay if you're doing it for passion. But I will tell you, for my experience, the first 3 books that I wrote, I think 1, 2, and 3. These were the first 3 books that I wrote. Okay? And it was purely all out of passion because I was just excited. This is my first book that chronicles my spiritual transformation from sailor to saint, how I found true peace and purpose. This is the book that actually made me who I am today. So this is the story. But when I just wanted to write a book, I just wanted to get it out there. And so I started speaking when people would invite me, mainly churches and different things like that, mostly on the faith-based level. So I would just give this book away as my story, my testimony. And then I started to speak more and teach and preach. And so I started putting my sermons into books. And so The Certainty of God's Promises was my next book, okay? And this book, of course, went out in about 2 to 3 weeks. And then I created this book called Am I a Real Christian, which is teaching us how to live a power-packed spiritual life. Now, these were all passion projects. I didn't care whether or not I sold them. I didn't care anything. Matter of fact, I was bearing the burden of all of it because wherever I would go, I would just give them away for free. And there's nothing wrong with that. But after a while, I began to realize, because I'm a missionary and I was living off of a stipend, I realized it costs a lot of money to get these books out there also, right? Okay? It costs money to print them, to edit them, to design them, to do all of these different things, and to give them all away for free. You give them for free, but you also got to be able to make sure that you can make some money so that you can keep your work even being published and promoted and getting into places where you cannot. So that's where these last 3 steps comes in. Number 5, we're going to market it. So all of these begin with M. The first 4 steps begins with P. These ones begin with M. We're going to market it, we're going to monetize it, and then we're going to measure it. We're going to market it. We need to know how and understand how to promote our books out there. Also, we need to understand the finances behind this thing. We call it monetization. How does it really work? How does the bestseller people really actually do their things? And I'm going to give you how it is done in general, and then my best practice suggestion for you if you truly want to sustain your work and make a difference in the world. And then measure it. After you've done your marketing and so forth, is it working? We're going to refine, retool, and then get it back out there and so forth. So there you go. That's it. Those are the steps that we're going to take for today. Okay? If you have any questions, of course, put them in the chat. So let's get ready. I want you to get ready. We want to get clear first. Clarity is important in writing your book. You must be clear on why you're writing and what you're writing, to whom you're writing. So basically, we ask in this phase the simple questions in English comprehension: the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. Already? So we want to know, who are we writing this book for? What are we going to write about? And when are you going to get it written? Where are you going to get this book work produced? Where are you going to get it distributed? And why do you, I think this is the main important part, why, your big why. If your why is strong enough, then it will sustain you in the journey and the bumps that may come. And then how do we write it? Because for us now, we started out, of course, knowing one way to write, and that's why it took me my first book took me 5 years to write. Actually, 5 years in the whole entire process, but actually getting it written was actually 5 days. because I didn't know what I needed to know, because I was learning everything. I was doing everything myself. Imagine that. I designed my own book. Someone from my missionary group taught me Photoshop. I was designing my own book cover. I edited my own book, which is a rule of thumb. You should never edit your own book, okay? Unless you, of course, might be a professor in English, but even then it's good to have different eyes. And so I did everything. I learned every aspect of the whole thing. And so that was a long and exhausting process. And then, like I said, the first 3 books also did not become #1 best-selling authors, best-selling books, because I was just doing what most authors do. Until I took a course, paid a good $2,000 to take this course. My whole life changed at that point, because then I realized what I didn't know and what I needed to know. And so now I have at least almost 8 to 10 different ways in writing and producing a book. And we know what the blueprint is to make every single book become, if we choose to, become a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. That's the difference, right? And so that's some of it. If we get there, some of that is what I'm going to teach you. So let's get clear. Why? First of all, why? That's the most important question. Why do you want to write a book? Why do you want to write a book? I want you to begin thinking that and start writing it down. I'm going to give you some examples, some things that you should consider why you want to write a book. Your book is your best business card. For those of you who are in business, for those of you who are professionals, right? Every professional actually, and everybody, but especially professionals. I'm talking about entrepreneurs, people who are highly credentialed, highly educated, and so forth. You must have a book, because that's what distinguishes you from someone else. Now, a book makes you credible and establishes you as an expert. Think about it. If somebody is hiring a speaker, for example, to speak on any given topic, and each of them have, let's say, each of them has equal credentials, experience perhaps, but then the person who wrote the book, isn't that generally the one? Because that's the one you might want to hire. Why? Because that one wrote the textbook on it. Right? If they wrote the textbook on it, they are automatically seen as an expert. Not only that, but a book sets you apart from the competition. A book can open door and create multiple streams of income, donations, etc. for your ministry. A book can generate leads, give you more deals, qualify more people for your coaching program, consulting, and for speaking engagement. Like I said, it doesn't matter what your background or your feeling. I'm in ministry. But again, people seek me out to speak on different topics based on my books. See what I'm saying? So I not too long ago, over the summer as well, did a 1 week teaching series for 2 churches on prayer. And the reason they brought me in was because of my book on prayer. I also did something on discipleship, because I am in the process of teaching and bringing up something for that as well. I want to create an online course as well as a book on discipleship. But they bring me in because of these particular things, right? Even when I am not in the same category as, for example, in my previous district in McAllen, Edinburgh, I would sit on some panel discussions for health-related topics, not because I am anything in health. I'm a pastor, right? And I do have background in different things, but I am not a medical expert by any stretch of the imagination. But why do they bring me in? Because I work with people in that field, and I've written books, and sometimes I create podcasts on health-related things. So even that itself gives me an opportunity to sit at the table with the big boys and the big girls, so to speak. All righty? So not only that, but you also have a unique story to tell. And that's why you should tell it, because no one can tell your story like you can. And that's one of the things I love about the shift that is taking place in society today. There are lots of bad things that are happening in society, but there are also some good things that are happening in society. And one is many people, groups, and individuals are choosing to tell their stories instead of having other people tell their stories for them. And I highly recommend, no one should define you. You ought to define your own self. Because if you define yourself, if you allow others to define you, they may not tell your story in the right way. And that's why you choose to write your own story. So I'm not leaving it up to historians even to tell my spiritual transformation story. I wrote it myself. Already? And so that's a wonderful thing. If God has given you a message and a story, an experience that can resonate. You see, I can't reach everybody. My story does not resonate with anybody, everyone, but your story. And if all of us put our stories together, then we can reach multiple people, because somebody will resonate with some other person. Okay? Number 7. People can be blessed from hearing and reading your story. Already, case in point. Now, this one is very dear to me as well. I keep this book. This book is not my book, but this is a book of a friend of mine, a colleague, and someone who was who is still an instructor at Oakwood University. But he taught my friend and my wife in school. And this book is actually written in 2003. But I keep this book here because it reminds me again of the power of a book to inspire. This book is called You Can Fly Beyond the Sky by Dr. Isaac Olatunji, right? Most people know him as Dr. O. Now, he don't write this type of books anymore, but this was a really great book, and I still love this book. Anyhow, so it talks about quick and simple, powerful strategies towards fulfillment of your dreams, goals, and aspiration. Now, we all have different situations and challenges in life, right? And for example, both my mom and my brother, they did not finish school as many people on the regular route, okay? And so I remember sending this book to my mother and my brother. They both read this book and got so inspired that they went back to school, and at least at a minimum, they started finishing, and they've both finished their GED. My brother went on now, he's doing well in his career, even makes more than I do on a salary basis. But this book inspired them to go back and do something that they had left undone. Because it says you can reach your goals and dreams. And this book, I got it actually signed too by Dr. O. Now that's another good thing, right? It's a really good feeling when you can sign a book for somebody, and those means well as well. So I will never throw this book away. I will keep it because it always reminds me of the power of telling your story and what you can do through a book by inspiring other people. So again, you might want to check this out, by the way. If you're in a slump and you need some motivation, this is a good book to read on there. Alrighty, so I want you to pick which of these 7 things are reasons for you to write a book. Let me give you a couple more. Number 8, you can teach people how to do something, right? These are some of the best books to do, by the way, when we get to what to write about. How to do something, how to lose weight, how to gain weight. Look at this one here. Get healthy for life, right? This one is teaching you the 9 secret pillars to live a healthy and longer, stronger, energetic life. This is how to live a healthy life. This book here is about the 7 highly effective preaching secrets. So this book is teaching you how to preach. Every book teaches you something. This one here, Monetize the Skills, is teaching you how anybody can take the education, expertise, or experience and create a product, a program, or a service and use it for a ministry or a business. Here we have strategic secrets. This is teaching you the secrets to have a successful life. This book on prayer is just that. It's a book on prayer, prayers that move heaven. How to get your prayers answered 100% of the time. Already? How to do something. So whatever that something is, notice there are different books, there are different strokes to say for different folks. So what can you teach somebody else? Trust me, don't think you need credentials. If you have credentials, good, we use that too. We can use the education, but we also, if you have experience, you can use that. If you have expertise, you use that. And experience, all of our experiences are great. For example, as devastating as divorce is, I would not be the best person to write a book on divorce because I have not had the experience, okay? But if you had the experience, you will make a better writer for a book on divorce than I can because you went through it and therefore you know and understand. So imagine how many people you can bless who are going through that or who needs to find a path forward. You can write a book on that, right? Someone who has gone through a terrible sickness and maybe you were healed or you had a transformative experience, you are the best person to write the book on that, okay? You don't have to have the credentials. Your credentials is your experience. See, this is the world that we live in today. People want experiences, not just simply rote knowledge and information. They want transformation. And if you've gone through something, that's a transformational experience. And by the way, those generally make even the best type of books. Okay. So again, don't limit yourself. You can teach somebody something. Okay. I'm stressing that because some of you, that's your block. God has been calling you to write a book, but you don't want to write it because you feel you don't have anything to say. I'm telling you, you have something to say. no matter what your background is. Okay, you look at this, for example. This is a wonderful church here. We have someone in our church who designs all of these things. She can write a book on how to decorate a church, how to decorate your house, how to, like even simple things like that. Somebody wants to know how to do what you know, so you can teach them. Okay. Now, number 9, it's your voice, and you can leave your mark on the world. Your book is like your signature. And that's why, for me, think about it. So many people who have died and passed on. For example, in our faith group, we know someone called Ellen White. You think about all the books that she has written that are still alive and well today, that she's passed over 100 years now, and her books are still making a difference today. That's the power of a book. A book can go where you cannot go. So a book is you amplifying your voice beyond your particular situation, your particular location, your particular circumstance. Your book can travel. Your book is your voice. So if you want to put your voice out there, because it's not being heard, probably this is sometimes a prophet has no honor in his or her own country. So sometimes when you put your book in writing, someone from China, someone from Japan, India, someone across the world will read your story, your book, your message, and now you're impacting people beyond your local sphere of influence. And those were the early joys that I had. I remember, in the early days when I wrote my first couple of 2-3 books, and I saw on Amazon, people bought the book from the UK, and people from different parts of the world were buying the book, from Canada and so forth. I'm like, wow, I haven't gone to these places, but just guess what? People are buying them from India. And I'm like, wow, I don't even know who they are. But I just say, praise the Lord that someone finds my message inspiring enough to be able to read it. That's satisfaction for me. That's intrinsic motivation. That's what gives me value. Okay. Number 10, it can go where you cannot go, and stay where you cannot. I think we mentioned that already. Number 11, it gives you great satisfaction and fulfillment. And 12, right now, it's easier than ever before to do it. So there we go. I just gave you 12 different reasons why you should write and publish a book. 12 different reasons why you should write and publish a book. And so now I want you to actually write down 1, 2, or 3 reasons why you are going to write your book. Okay? So that's what I want you to do right now. Let's pause for a moment. My son actually is back here on the camera. So if anybody is putting their stuff on there, reply to them. But I want you right now, we're going to take a little breaker here. I want you right now to write down at least 2 or 3 reasons, solid reason. Even if you want to take a, longer, make a paragraph, whatever it may be, but write. You can go back if you want to. Let me go back a couple of slides here. You want to write down, why is it important for you to write a book? Because knowing why is very important. So let's go. All of these are reasons why. I'll give you a moment. Already, I think we've given you enough time there to write. Now, remember, the more actions you take right now, the easier it becomes for you to follow through after we finish, okay? Because what happens is sometimes people attend workshops and different things. They got all this information, they were excited and pumped at the event, but then when they leave, it falls off. So that's why we want you to actually take action. So right now, again, if you have not written why you want to write a book, even if it's one word, one sentence, a phrase, whatever it may be, however long you want to write it, we want you to actually do that, okay? You can polish it later on. So I want you to do that if you have not yet done so. So we're going to segue now. I want to show you some other examples of why you and I follow certain individuals and why we know them. And you will notice the commonality among these particular individuals. So here's another encouragement for you. Every serious professional, ministry leader, small business owner, entrepreneur, coach, consultant, marketer, teacher, and if you are a success-minded individual, you need to have a published book. I'm telling you, it will change your life and it may change the lives of other people, which is even more important. So I am telling you, this is not something you just want to sit down on. This is something you want to do for yourself. Make it a dream, make it a goal, make it something that you say, I am going to do by hook or by crook. Now, let's look at a few thought leaders and experts in the world. Dr. John C. Maxwell. Why do we know John Maxwell? I've never met the man, but I've met him in his books. I was introduced to leadership principles because John Maxwell took the time to chronicle all the things that he knew about leadership. And when we think of leadership today, the voice that stands prominently in the marketplace and in the ministry place is Dr. John C. Maxwell. What is his background? He started out as a preacher, but now he speaks to millions of people around the world. Matter of fact, I am part of a monthly cohort of professional ministers that meet once a month. And every month we focus on one book. And one of the books we recently did, which is one that I read several years ago, was another book by Dr. John C. Maxwell. So John Maxwell, we asked the question, how do you know John Maxwell? Chances are you know John Maxwell because John Maxwell has books that are written and published out there. Already? Now, think about this. Even people who are already successful, you want to ask the question, why are they writing books? Now, here's Dr. Amy Myers. Amy Myers is a successful, accomplished physician, successful medical practice, but yet she still writes books and even online courses. So I asked the question, why would she do that? But think about it. How else can she impact her patients beyond the office? Well, this is one of the glorious ways that she does it. And that's one of the glorious ways that you can do it as well. Same thing with Dr. Cooper. Dr. Cooper has 3 practices, 3 medical practices. Busy woman, right? So I asked her the same question. I said, how you have a lot of patients. You have a few thousands of patients. What else can you give to your patients and be a blessing to them before their next appointment? Well, let's create some books for them. And so not only has she created books for adults, this is one of her nice books right here, Get Healthy for Life. Here's another one, 14 Days to Amazing Health. Now, that's a good book, right? I don't want to take a whole month. 14 days, hey, I can do that. 14 Days to Amazing Health. And then here's one that we not too long finished as well. I think we did this about a year ago. My son has these books. Here's 2 other books that she created for kids. Charlie Goes to the Doctor. And another one, Get Healthy Kids series, workbooks, teaching kids health principles in colorful, wonderful ways. So if they don't go to the office, they can learn health principles from their physician. And not only that, think about this too. A physician who has patients, if Dr. Cooper were my doctor, I'd be happy to read my own doctor's. Wow, man, my physician wrote the book on this subject. It's a beautiful experience. So again, think about it, why you should write a book. Les Brown. Now, I first learned about Les Brown in the military. The first book about motivation and these things, success, that I read outside of school was Les Brown, Live Your Dreams, right? I still have the book somewhere at home in my garage. But Les Brown, the reason I know Les Brown is because of Les Brown's books. Now, I've been to his seminars and I've seen him, but I know that the way I got to experience him first was through his books, his motivation and inspiration that comes to and touches lives and help people to achieve things that they would normally not achieve. That's what we're saying. Your book can change people's lives and even your own self. Here's another professional. Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson. I had the privilege of interviewing her actually for my master's degree. And Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson is into the neuroscience space. She herself was struggling with losing weight. And she realized that it's not necessarily more information that people need. The problem is most people, the way they think about weight loss is what keeps them from losing weight. But again, here she has her own book, Bright Line Eating, which is based on first her experience, because she had the experience and she was touching thousands of lives outside the classroom. Matter of fact, she changed profession because she was touching more people beyond the classroom, that she quit being a professor and she started helping people around the world globally to be able to lose weight using her experience of Bright Line Eating. And now she's put it in a book, Changing Lives, right? Michael Hyatt, many of us know in the faith base, you should know Michael Hyatt. Michael Hyatt used to be the president of Thomas Nelson Bible Publishing in Tennessee. Well, Michael Hyatt has many books here, and notice they're not even in the faith-based space. They are teaching people how to build a platform, motivation, inspiration, moving forward, which is about productivity, etc., and focus. Amen. If you're a professional, that's the kind of book that you need as well. But notice again, you can be versatile. And that's another reason why I encourage you to write a book. There are many of us, especially who are professionals. You are multi-talented and multi-gifted, but your profession does not give credence to the other professional side of you or the other areas where you can thrive and you can make a difference. See? So we are many things. We're not just one thing, right? I'm not a pastor only, right? I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm so many more things beyond what the pulpit, but I cannot do all these things in the pulpit or in the church world. So I have to give, I have to give exposure to the other areas where God has given me a gift or a talent that the church may not have room for, but I can share them in other settings. And that's what I'm saying is people have invited me to speak to, the National Hispanic Professional Organization, NHPO, right? I told you, I've showed you the slides in the very beginning where we've spoken for different medical practices and so forth. Why? Those are not my necessarily career currently, but those are other areas that I have interest and I equally thrive. But if I don't give that expression to those areas, I am not going to be a good steward of the gift that God has given to me. So you want to remember, God gives some 1 talent, but some he give 5 and some he give 10 and more. So if God has given you multiple talents, then why not use the rest of those talents and don't leave them dormant because your career, your job, whatever you do limits you in your expression. So you want to express the fullness of who you are. And I'm telling you, publishing a book is just the beginning because the Bible says your gift shall make room for you and bring you before great people. And that's one of the experience I've had. The type of people that sometimes I get to speak to that I wouldn't get to speak to in my faith-based community is because these doors have been open on the hinges of books. And because of that, I appreciate the blessing of God because I realize that not everybody is going to be touched in the walls of a sanctuary, but everybody can be touched in the sanctuaries of their own private homes or wherever they are through your books. And as we get to what you can do with them, that's why we also now move and pivot now into courses as well. Okay? So let me share with you one more person because the reason I'm showing you this, I'm showing you a broad spectrum of people and the different outcomes. So here we have again a preacher like myself, Dr. John Maxwell, who end up doing other things like that. We have a physician here, Dr. Amy Myers, Les Brown, who, by the way, did not even, doesn't have a college degree and didn't finish high school, anything like that. And yet he's able to publish so many books, more than some who have the greatest credentials. So it's not a comparison. It's just showing you, I want you to believe no matter who you are, no matter what your background, you can write a book. Gone are the days of the gatekeepers and the big publishing companies that prevents people from expressing themselves. We don't need that anymore. The walls are open and broken down, okay? So now we have access And that's what I believe God has done and is doing. And then we have, again, the academics. Here we have Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson for the academics. And then we have we have Michael Hyatt, who is more on the general professional side. But then for even the lawyers, here goes my lawyer friends, Nick Nanton, right? Nick Nanton, again, I was introduced to Nick Nanton. He was a lawyer through books, right? And one of the book that he had is the first time I learned about him was Celebrity Branding, right? Which is using books to brand yourself. Interestingly. But here we have, again, all different walks of life, all different kind of people are creating books. Now, for those of you in the church world, because you're going to say, Pastor Chance, why are you talking about only these people? Well, let me show you some from our own faith group. Dr. Eric Thomas, who also is a minister, right? But now turned motivational speaker. And by the way, he reaches more people around the world because of the books and the content that he creates than if he was staying in the pulpit, right? So here are some people who are also of our faith group, but they are making a difference. Here we have quite a few folks that you probably also know. Pastor Dave Westbrook, who has written a book here out of the cities. Then we have Ivor Myers, again, another minister, and also in ministry for himself, Power of the Lamb, but he has a ton load of books, right? And so we have quite a few people that are creating books on different topics, by the way. You see one here on even gardening. By the way, sometimes this is doing multiple six figures in just gardening. And then we also have academia / again, in the pulpit, Wealth Without Guilt. Wonderful book, by the way, for those of you who have problems with finances. You probably want to read these two books here, Wealth Without Guilt and The Word on Money. But again, he even created an online course that goes with his material here. So both Dr. and Sister Roland Hill, both of them are doctors, and they have written books as well. So again, are you seeing the picture? I'm just trying to give you examples. Then we have Dr. Neil Nedley, who is a prominent Seventh-day Adventist physician. But again, you go on his website, ton load of books as well, okay? And why is he writing, and what is he writing about? He's writing about his sphere of influence. He's writing about things that he does in his practice. So again, I go back to the assignment. All of that to segue back is you must write now. If you have not, I give you a couple of seconds. Write, why do you want to write a book? When we come back, we're going to show you now, the other side of the coin now is how do you identify the reader, right? This is getting into helping you when it comes to the marketing side, because it's not just I want to write something. I got to think about the person that I'm writing to. So let's take a little minute here and go ahead and write down, why do you want to write a book? Already. By now, we are moving forward. If you haven't written down, come on, saints. I wonder if you're serious, okay? Now let's move on to another important aspect of writing a book. Before you write your book, you should answer the question as well, who is your ideal reader? Do you know your readers? Because remember, your book and my book is not for everybody, but it's for somebody. And if it's for somebody specific, then all the people who fit that description are the ideal customers for your book. So here are some of the ways you can identify who is your book for or who is your ideal reader. Number one is what causes them pain or stress. So when you're thinking about a book, you should say, is my reader in pain or stress at the moment? And what exactly is it that is causing them stress? I'm going to show you why this is important. Because again, remember, we're helping you to write a book fast, but also to write it for the best person. Okay? Now, what are they worried about or what are they frustrated about? Next, what keeps them up at night staring at the ceiling? They got a lot on their mind. See, if you can answer the questions or the conversation going on in the minds of your reader, trust me, you will have a best-selling book. What do they secretly or privately crave or desire the most? What do they want? This is important because when it comes to the title of your book, this is why we want you to have this written down, because this helps us to create a captivating title that when whoever goes to the library, the bookstore, or wherever, or online, and they're looking for a book, when your book title has the same thing that they're looking for, you found a winner. And it helps you to actually write your book title as well as the subtitle. That's why we want you to do this. Another one is, what is their single biggest problem that you can solve with whatever you know, your education, experience, or your expertise, right? Keep those three things in mind. If you have experience, you can solve it. If you have an expertise, you can solve it. If you have some kind of credential, you can solve the problem. So fill in the blanks. This is what your reader is saying to themselves. If I could blank, then blank. In other words, if I can just solve this thing, then this will be the outcome. So let me show you how this works in these books. Now, this is my book on prayer. So I'm going to go through this and show you how we came up with this. This person is saying, if I could just understand how to get my prayers answered, then I would be happy, or then I would be able to experience breakthrough, or then I wouldn't have to feel like God doesn't answer my prayers. Here's another way. What is causing them pain? They are frustrated that their prayer seems to just bounce off the ceiling. Are you seeing it? So now I need a solution for them. Prayers that move heaven. Oh, I can move heaven with my prayers. Not only that, how can you get your prayers answered 100% of the time? Well, hold on. I don't feel like God has answered my prayers 100% of the time. And how dare this author says that God can answer my prayers 100% of the time. And notice I even put the 100% highlighted, right? The reason for that is because I want you to realize that the things that we're going to teach you will unlock your prayer life as no other book before. As a matter of fact, even before I send this out, and get it published, I actually send this title out with another one to several groups of people, friends, colleagues, etc. And for the subtitle, we already were settled on the title, right? Prayers that Move Heaven. But the subtitle didn't have the 100%. It had something else because it was like, well, is that too thing? You know what? The majority of the people rather have their prayers answered 100% of the time, or instead of most of the time. So interestingly, right? So people want that. So this is what keeps them up at night. They're frustrated. They've been praying. Their prayers are not answered. Their prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. They're wondering if God is even listening to them. And what is my solution? Prayers that move heaven. Alrighty? Now, the one for veterans, I don't see it here. Wow, I look like I forgot that at home. But it was transition to civilian life with confidence. That was it, right? And how to take your military training and create a business or a ministry out of it. Now, think about that. What was this? We went through this whole thing as well. What keeps a veteran from wanting to transition? Well, he or she is worried about replacing their military income. He or she is worried about, are they going to be able to get the same, afford the same kind of lifestyle, etc. And so many people, because that was my experience, and that's many experience of my friends still. Many of them want to transition out of the military, but they don't feel, even though they know it's time for them to transition even, they don't want to because they're comfortable or they feel like they might not make it on the outside. So my book, Transition to Civilian Life with Confidence. See, I'm answering that because you need confidence in order to transition. But not only that, I'm going to give you a tool, a 90-day strategy of how you can take already, you didn't need no further training, no further education, how you can take your already military training and your military background and wrap that into products, programs, and services, and now do your own thing. Voila. Now, for Dr. Cooper, let's go here. Let's see here. 14 days to amazing health. Okay, now let me take the other one on this one, because this is one specifically we help her with to come up with this title as well. I'll show you on the screen how we came up with this title. Now, get healthy for life. Some people are healthy, but it's not for life. Their health will keep going down and so forth and whatnot, or getting sick off and on. No, we want you to get healthy and stay healthy for life. Bold promise, right? Notice a bold promise. This is the way we're going to solve your problem. How? With the 9 secret pillars to live longer. Who don't want to live longer? Who don't want us to also be strong? Because it's one thing to live strong, but if you're sick and weak, that's a problem. Or if you don't have energy, that's what people want. At that time when we produced this book, those were the main things that people were looking for in health. So we answered the question. If you get this book, you will not only be healthy for life, but you will enjoy it because you will be stronger, you will live longer, and you will have a more energetic life. You see the bold promise? We answer these questions. Already, family? Are you getting the idea? Are you getting the idea? So I want you to now think about that and start filling in this blank. It's a simple exercise. I want you to fill in this exercise. Again, your ideal reader is asking themselves, if I could just do this thing or have this experience, or let's say weight loss, right? Weight loss is always a good one. If I can just lose, so somebody's getting married, let's say in the spring, and they're saying, if I can just lose 10, 20 pounds, whatever it is, then I'll be able to fit into my wedding dress. And your book will be now how to lose 10, 15 pounds so you can fit in your wedding dress. Amen? You see how we come up with good book titles? It can be anything. Military folks, you think about something there for military people in the church, discipleship. If I can just know how to read and understand the Bible for myself, then I will be able to X, Y, and Z. Book title could now out of that become the dummy-proof way to read and understand the Bible that anybody can actually do, even if you've just been in the church for one day, as a subtitle. Are we getting it? That's the way we kind of go about book titles. And that's the way we come up with what to write about. Because you want to write about something that you're good at, that you can solve. That's what we say. What is their biggest problem that you can solve, not somebody else? This is going to help you to write a book fast because you are not writing about other people's things, about things you don't know, and you have to spend 15 years researching. You write about what you already know now, what you have education in right now, credentials in right now, what you have experience with right now, and what you have expertise in right now. So you don't need no more courses. You don't need another degree. You don't need anything else. Use what you've already given to you because God already gifted you. That's the powerful thing. What God has gifted and put in your heart that you can speak about, like I'm speaking right here extemporaneously pretty much for most of this stuff because it's in me. I don't have to try. I don't have to practice. It just comes out. That's the thing you want to write about. See, that's what I learned. See, my first book was about my testimony because I didn't have to spend time researching it. It's my own story, and I know me. So therefore, I can write this book. So you write about your own genre. In other words, if you want to stay in your lane for the most part. Now, there are projects that you can do later on that you can do with other people, etc., and so forth. But we're talking about writing a book fast, writing it one quickly. So if you want to write something quickly, write about what you know, write about what you've experienced, write about what you're an expert in. If you do that, you can get the book out quickly because it just flows out of you. So Dr. Cooper, by nature, again, she said in 6 days she got the book written because she's talking about the 9 pillars for health. That book, this is an acronym that she uses in her own practice on how people can be healthy. That's why we went with it, Get Healthy, because it became a brand. And notice, for the kids series, it's the same thing. She take it and condense it for children. Get Healthy Kids series. Matter of fact, for the Charlie Goes to the Doctor book, it's a very interesting book, very nicely done. it actually goes to the acronyms. It's a story where Charlie goes to the doctor and he wants to understand why he's sick. And Dr. Cooper takes him on a train ride on different stations. And at each stations, which is a letter in the acronym of Get Healthy, she explains what each of those letters mean. And by the time he gets to the end, he has a thorough understanding of what Get Healthy is all about. You see how we can even develop a series. That's what we're talking about. That's our third objective that we talked about that we want to achieve here. That's how you can get there. So now your assignment or activity is to write, what do you want to write about? Okay, I want you to do that now. Take a little moment. Remember, you can polish it later on, but you want to take the action right now. So I want you to write down what it is that you would want to write about. Remember, you have total freedom here and flexibility. Don't worry about anybody. This is for you. What God has put in your heart, this is what you want to bring to the world. It doesn't have to be this or that. It's just whatever you want to bring to the world right now. Okay? So write down, what do you want to write about? Okay, I give you some other ideas here. Okay? But we've already talked about them in so many different ways. So here's some tips to juggle your mind to think about what to write about. Write about what you love and are an expert in. That's the fastest way to write a book, right there. That's how I was able to write a book in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month, because I wrote about what I know and what I'm an expert in, right? Like this little book here. And again, your book can be any size too, so that gives you freedom. But when I wrote this book here, The Certainty of God's Promises, as a missionary, I mean, we claim promises all the time. Matter of fact, they used to call me the Bible and the Bible only chance, because everything was about Bible promises. I was quoting Bible's promises from left, right, and center, and everything we're going to do is going to be based on a Bible promise. And so I wrote a book on how to actually claim Bible promises, because they were telling me that, hey, man, everything you do is about promises of God. So I'm like, hold on. Well, what's my formula for actually claiming the promises of God? So that's what I put in this little thing. But it was actually a teaching. It was actually like I'm teaching right now. I just put it in a little booklet form that people can get through. You can actually get through it on the toilet, in a couple of days if you want. It's only 58 pages, but it's good and it's power packed. Okay. Same thing here. My friend who is actually finishing up a doctorate in nursing, Dr. Sindel Hollandson. So we help her to produce a book called Dare to Desire, How to Rise to Your Royalty. So this is a sister who is into fashion and everything like that, but shows you how, as a woman, you can actually use even your painful experiences and let them rise to make you, in other words, royalty. So she used the Christian themes and biblical themes to help you to understand just that. Here's another book that is similar to claiming promises, but I use what people are used to in the success world now. Power Pack Spiritual Affirmation, right? 21 quick and powerful declarations to supercharge your mind and body for daily success. This is for women, and I make it into an audio book, and I have a men's version as well. So you see, took the same material and I multiply it. Hey, you have men version, you have woman version. I can turn it into a kids version if I want to. So we get to those in the future where we say how you can take one book and actually turn it into multiple books. Are we there, family? All right, let me give you some ideas. Let's go through here again. What you want to write about, other things that you're interested in. So that's what I'm saying is we are not just interested in one thing, right? I'm into faith-based stuff, yes, but I'm interested in management type of topics, leadership type of topics, business type of topics. I'm interested in all of that too. So I can't just compartmentalize myself into this one area. So I can write a book about those other areas because I'm equally well read in those areas. So I read a lot of books. If you go on my bookshelf, you'll find it's categorized. I have spirituality books. I have health books. I have books on productivity, peak performance, leadership, management. All of these different things are what I'm interested in. So I don't mind writing about any of those stuff. Here's another way. Write about what God has put on your heart, what lessons of love, joy, peace, faith, even difficulties. Transformational stories, by the way, are some of the most powerful things to write about. People love experiences, struggles, and victories. So you might think, your struggle, you don't want to put it out there, but think about it. Some of the best books that we love, especially inspirational and self-help book, we love them because they show us people who have gone through difficulties and overcame. See? So your divorce could be the thing that God uses to show other women how they can thrive in spite of. The cancer that you overcame can give hope to other people. So if you're a cancer survivor, you have a story. I'm working with one lady right now from New Jersey to help to publish her story. She experienced a powerful healing that is not even based on medicine. Even the doctors were amazed, but she realized that things were not working and she started doing something about it. And she realized her body was responding. And the doctors were like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because our stuff is not working. And she healed. She was healed. And now I'm like, sister, you need to put that in a book because you can teach others and you can even coach others on how they can adapt some of those principles that you've learned to be able to heal themselves. Okay? Answers and solutions to problems people are facing. So that's another thing. What solutions are there? People are facing all manner of issues. So you can write a book about that. Okay? Write to encourage, uplift, challenge, and inspire readers. Those are the best books that people read. Now, of course, there are times when you're going to have to, write maybe on the opposite. But most people don't want to read those books for the most part. Think about it. Nobody want to read about being condemned, criticized, and so forth, right? Some people, you have to do that, right? A lot of political books are on that nature. But the majority of books that are sold, people, I'm not going to go buy a book that's condemning and criticizing me because guess what? I need help. So that's why we want help up, right? Right? We need God help. So you want to write a book that generally uplifts, inspire, challenge. You can talk about the patches in the road along the way, but again, if you don't give the people a solution, they come out at the end of the book, they're still hopeless and in their condition. No, your book must bring out the best and help people to become the best that God wants them to be. Okay, so think about those things. Now, again, take a moment right now, and I want you to go ahead and write what you want to write about. I'm going to leave this on the screen here for just a moment. And then when we come back, I'm going to share with you now, especially for those of you who are on the faith base, why God expects you to write. Now think about that, because God himself is a writer. Now, for those of you who may not be in the faith-based world or don't even believe in God, trust me, you're going to find inspiration still. Because if God, the creator of this whole cosmos, can be a writer, then trust me, he has given us ideas on what we should write about and how to actually write as well. I'm going to show you when we come right back. But now I'm just going to give you just a brief moment so you can actually go ahead and write down right now what it is that you want to write about. Remember, if you don't take the action, it's going to be difficult later on to implement. I want you to take the action right now while the inspiration is kicking. Already, I think you've had enough time to write down what you want to write about. Remember, you can write about anything, it's your own experience, but don't deny the patches in your life, right? I believe our tests were there for our testimony. And by the way, you can write a testimony book. Isn't that interesting? Right? Whatever you have pain. So here's the thing. God uses every area of our life to create good. So if you had pain, if you've gone through difficulties, if you've been through sickness, if you've been through a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown, financial setbacks, bankruptcy, all of those are things you can write about because you've come out of it and you've had an experience. But also, again, on the positive side, so you can write from pain, you can write from pleasure, you can write from passion and purpose. So if you, again, have been blessed and you're good at something, write from that angle because, again, that it will flow easy, it will flow natural, and it will be easier to write than if you're trying to write something that maybe you don't have the experience or the expertise in, right? So that's why I say stay in your lane because that's the thing that you want to be able to write about. Now, I know some of you are here, some of you are in the faith-based space, some of you in the military, some of you are teachers and so forth. So I'm just going to give you again a couple of examples because I want to encourage you how many things can bring us together. Now, here's some books that I bought for my son. Even children's book, right? So it doesn't matter whatever you're good at. So here is Dr. Boyce Watkins have written several books, but here's how he's writing from his own expertise. So he has both the expertise, experience, and also the education, right? So he's a very brilliant man. He was actually the first African-American in the United States to be able to earn a PhD in finance. He's a finance professor. And he has a series of books called The Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. And I bought them all, right? Because I want to teach my son these things. So this is for grades 1, 2, and 3. So here's has investing. So Dr. Boyce Watkins is writing from what? His expertise and experience. But he's also broken it down to simplify it for children of different ages. So he has all the grades up to, I think, high school, right? So, and then he has activity book or workbooks to go along with it. Isn't that amazing? So he's right. So that's from the academic side. So he's showing again how you can take stuff and help people to do things. Here's another one from Dave Ramsey, right? Many people know Dave Ramsey, but again, he has some kids books as well. And I bought the whole kit, but there's one here, which is an activity book, Junior's activity book, right? Which goes along with the series of books, right? So activity books, notice again, these things are flying off the shelf as well. So again, you have options. You can write a book, a nonfiction book. You can write a memoir, biography. You can write a journal, right? So we got all of that here. This is a journal. I have 2 journals out there. I need probably before the year is out, that's probably the challenge I'm going to take is to write another one because I need to create a prayer journal and I need to create a book about dreams, right? I've been teaching on dreams and many people in my faith group has not written anything about dreams. So I want to create a dream journal. So here we have the vision journal, right? Which is chronicle your goals, dreams, visions, and revelation, inspiration, and answers and ideas, right? Kind of a long thing there, but the idea is it came from Habakkuk chapter 2, which we all know. So again, you know, I buy a whole lot of journals. I got at least 20-something journals at home. And so I said, why not create my own? So now I can buy my own journal, right? So cookbooks. My mom has a cookbook. My wife has a cookbook. And I created this one here, which actually for the first time collaborated and have someone else create this one, right? This is called Plant-Based Cookbook, incredibly delicious recipes anyone can make, okay? Very nice and simple recipes. My wife's book is called Vegan Boricua Cookbook, which is using from where she was born and raised in Puerto Rico, vegan Boricua, right? So that's something they can relate to. But again, my mom's book is about Caribbean recipes. She's born and raised in the Caribbean, so she took some recipes from there and put them in a book. So again, many of you can cook as well. You can create a cookbook. And I will tell you, don't think my book is not going to sell, because I'm telling you, there's somebody out there that's going to buy your book. And I want to give you a little secret. Now, when we get to the part on how to monetize the books, I use my books in a different way than most people do. I don't use them in the conventional way. I'm not worried about selling a ton of the books because I use the books in the opposite way, which is the best, bigger way and the better way to get big bucks. But I would have you to know that of all the books that I've written, my wife's cookbooks outsells all of my books combined. On Amazon, that is. On Amazon, okay? On Amazon. Using my strategy, though, it doesn't compare. But I'm talking about for each book individually, her books outsells them all. Now, among my books, interestingly, the one that sells the most is the littlest one. The certainty of God's promises. So that's what I'm saying. Don't think people will buy what they want. I'm just saying that no matter what you do, somebody's going to buy it. Okay. So Teresia Williams, again, she's a psychologist. She wrote on mental health and for the church. I'm trying to bring her next year to speak to my own church. But subtitle, Examining Patterns of Behavior While Building Self-Healing Communities. Okay, we have a poem right here, book of poems. There's another young man who's actually was finishing up high school that we just helped. I think was this last year. When was this? This was 2021, last year. John David Thompson. He's a pastor's son, but he's very poetic as well. And and again, a friend of mine encouraged him to put his ideas out there and his poems out there. And so he created a book, Contemplations for the Soul, Exploring the Deep and Philosophical Realms of Life. So this is a book of poems, nice size, not too difficult to read. He has about 117 poems in here. Very well. My friend again here, Sister Esme Patty, has written a book here on poems. And so we have all different types. During the pandemic, I wrote this book right here, Pandemic Survival Secrets, on how to thrive during the midst of a pandemic. Here's another good friend of mine as well, Pastor Gamal T. Alexander, who's written a 21-day devotional. Again, devotionals are very easy to write as well. All you need is 21 days, okay? 21 days. And so very simple book, easy to get through, not a lot of pages, but it's a devotional, and I like it because it's about faith, right? So it's a faith 2.1. There we have it, friends. So let's move on right now. Let's move on. I think you've gotten a whole lot of ideas. So you have books for kids you can write. I have not yet done a full-scale children's book, but I'm working on that to be able to put one out, several out there. I have one child's books, which is, the story of my son there. That's the one book, that first book I did actually in one day. I did that book in a day. But that's on him. That's not necessarily, in the child's version per se. I use real pictures and all of that stuff. So I need to create one that's like kids' drawings and all of that type of good stuff. Here's another good one, by the way. I love this one. This one is based on Dr. Miles Monroe's teaching on King's Kids, right? Teaching the kingdom agenda in a kids-friendly way. So very nice, simple book. So you see, we all buy books. And here's the thing. When people go to school, what do we learn from? We learn from books. So books will never go out of style, okay? Books will never go, because books contains knowledge. Libraries, everywhere, even online, they're putting everything, even that, those are writings too. Think about it. Even though they're there, somebody got to write them and put them there, okay? So let's move on. I want to now share with you God's view of books and what we can learn from the Bible in writing books, right? Because are you aware that God wrote the best-selling book of all time? People deride the Bible, but the Bible is still the best-selling book year after year after year after year for a very, very long time. There's no book that outsells the Bible year in and year out. So I believe that God himself has given us snippets on what to write and how to even write. So let's look at it. God wrote the law, the Torah. So what can we learn from that? You should write, that's where how-to books come, because God is telling us how to live. So what's the Torah? What are these? He wrote the Torah, he wrote testimonies, right? So it's a book of life. It's a book of living. This is instructions. So that's why we write books about how to, and we have recipe books that teaches how to do something. So you can write a book about instructions. Then also in Habakkuk chapter 2, we find this again, what I just quoted from my journal here, right? The vision makes it plain. You look on the prophets in the Bible, they wrote their visions. They wrote what they saw in dreams as well as being awake. And many of some of my faith-based persuasion, guess what? We have a prophet that have written a ton load of books based on visions. So God has given to you some vision. It doesn't have to be that you saw something in a dream necessarily, but you have a vision for life, a vision for people, a vision for health, a vision for healing, a vision for the classroom, a vision for the church, whatever, a vision for your family, a vision for relationships. All of that is what we can get examples of what we write about, or we can write a manual. Then we have Exodus chapter 17, verse 14, that talks about the memorial. And Joshua, when they went over the Jordan, he says, pick up 12 stone and make what we call an Ebenezer, or a place of remembrance, or when the people see these things, they'll remember. So you write what? A memorial. So you can write a memoir, you can write a biography, or that's why we write what? Journals, because we can chronicle things in there to capture our experiences as memories. So create something where people can capture their memories. That's what we got from there. Joshua chapter 24, verse 26, giving directions again. Anything that has to do with direction, journal. Write what you have seen in a book. That's what he's telling them. Write it down. That's journaling. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 2, thoughts and inspiration. Right? There's a lot of books, inspirational movies, inspirational this, inspirational that. People love inspiration. So can you write something that is inspirational? That's why testimonies books are also powerful, because they are inspiring. So a testimony book, or your book about your testimony, your experience, can inspire. Okay? Or if you have thoughts that you can put on paper, they can be inspiring as well. 1 Corinthians, though, here's the other side, because normally we said, again, you want to write things that are positive, uplifting, and so forth, but sometimes you got to write warnings. Right? A lot of the prophets wrote warnings. The book of Revelation is about warnings as well. So God gave a whole ton load of warnings in the book. Paul says, I write these things to warn you. I preached a sermon last year or year before here. Heed the warnings, 7 warnings that God gives, right? So warnings, I can write warnings to my children. Your book don't have to be for everybody. You can write a book of warnings for your kids. All right? So think about that too. That can be something. I'm giving you more ideas from God on how you can write books, how you can write things, blogs, whatever they may be, how you can create content. So what warnings do you want to give the world? This is another way to look at this, is where you can write a book if you're in the latter season of your life or the late season of your life. You can now write a book. What would I tell my younger self or the next generation of my experiences? What to do better? Right? There's several books like that. A lot of people, success people, millionaires, will write books on what we can do, how the next generation can thrive, et cetera, et cetera. That's why we buy them, because someone has achieved or done a lot of things. So now they're looking back and they're saying, here are the bumps in the road, so you don't have to repeat the mistakes that we did. That's a good book to write about. Then we have 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. Correction, reproof, and rebuke. This is why a lot of books about politics and those type of things, where people write about the government and so forth and the corruption that's going on. They're writing rebukes and corrections and reproof to those in authority and so forth and whatnot. So you can write a book about that as well. If you see a lot of drama going on in the church and so forth, you write a book about it. You write a book about anything. I'm just saying, I'm giving you examples because that's what we find in the Bible too. The Bible has all of it. So why not write about it too? Right? And so we need to learn. So you can't just read only on the positive too. Sometimes you might have to read this, because if I have a problem in my life, I need to read about the rebuke so I can also be corrected as well. But most importantly, though, people don't like rebuke. Actually, the heart is more stiff and rebellious the more it's corrected. So we want to mingle our rebukes with correction and encouragement and exhortation. This, to me, is the powerful thing today of why you have this big crave for self-help books. Right? And some of us will be like, well, we shouldn't read self-help book. Well, if they're helping, they're helping. I'm just saying, because many of us read them too anyhow. But I'm saying is, self-help book doesn't have to be about all self, because we need help indeed. But when you mingle faith with it, when you mingle spirituality with it, it takes it a different level. Right? So you can write a so-called self-help book, make it a God-help book then. But either way, The whole purpose there is about inspiring and exhorting or encouraging someone who's depressed. You don't want to, if you're going to write a book to help people who are depressed, it is not going to help you by rebuking only or to focus on the negative. No, they need encouragement and exhortation so they can be inspired. So you see how we can mingle several of these, right? Inspiration, encouragement, exhortation, those kind of go together. Revelation chapter 1, verses 11 and 19 also talks about writing about prophetic insights, revelation of what most people do not understand. This, I think, is something where if you look at it, for example, here he says, write what you see, what is to come, right? I believe that in the last days, the God has spoken in his word that people will have dreams and visions. He will pour out his spirit upon all flesh. So the spirit of God is still moving upon men and women to inspire them with music, with books, with all these different things that they put in different formats to communicate the message. So if you have any prophetic insights, any strategies, anything that can help in your workplace, in your family, in this area, what? All of it. So when we say prophetic insight, it doesn't have to be relegated to the church only. Do you realize that a lot of, I read on, for example, Mr. Tesla, who was given the idea on some of these things related to electricity, the gentleman who invented polio, they all received these things in a vision. It's documented and it's public out there. They receive these things as insights, prophetic insights. So God can give you prophetic insight on your job about solving relationship problems, right? 7 things you should never do in your relationships. Or here's what you do if you want to have love, joy, peace, and happiness all the days of your life. All right? All of those are wonderful things, right? How to find your soulmate without sacrificing your soul. That's a beautiful book title right there. Right? Somebody who's into that stuff, you can write that. How to find your soulmate without sacrificing your soul. Man, if I was into that genre, I probably would write the book myself because that's a good title. I'd buy that book right there. Right? I want my son and my daughter to read that book. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I'll give you one last chance. I want you to write what you're going to write about. Settle it now that this is what you're going to write about. Okay? Settle it what you're going to write about. All right, Joel, if anybody has a question, let me know. I'm going to give you a moment. If you want to ask questions, you can put them in the chat or you can email greaterrandolph@gmail.com. I will be able to answer the questions here. Remember, I'm trying to get all of these things by 6 o'clock, okay? It's now 4:40. So as you can see, I'm passionate about this stuff. I can just go and like Speedy Gonzalez. But this is a 7 weeks training course that I'm truncated into 3 hours for you. So I got to keep going. So if you do have a question and you want to interrupt me though, feel free to do so. Ask me the question or send it in the chat. Or if you want, you can actually email it and we'll take a look at it. So now we've covered now the first steps. Okay. So now I promise that in the ads or in the, on the website where we introduced this to the community, we said that we're going to help you to gain clarity. So I think objective number 1 is there. You should now be clear on why you want to write a book, who it's for already, and what you're going to write about. The rest of the stuff, we answer the question of how to actually get it done, which we've been giving you hints here and there, but we'll get into more of the how. So let's go into step number 2 now. Step number 2 is all about producing, right? So 1 is plan, number 2 is produce. This is for us to get going now. We're going to talk about how to write it, how to design it, and how to edit it. Those 3 things right there, because after we've done these 3 things, we're kind of ready to move forward and publish it. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to write it, and if you are with me here, I would put it in quotation marks because writing it is what causes some of you not to write it. Because when you think of write it, you think back to your English class, or when you have to write these long papers or long theses and dissertations and so forth and whatnot, and it was gruesome, it was hard, it was tough, difficult, and you procrastinated because you didn't want to do it because it was unpleasant. So writing a book is not always relegated to physical writing. And I'm going to show you now several ways. I'm going to give you at least 7. Okay, maybe 5 or 7, but minimum 5, 7, or 10. Let's see how many you can handle. How you can actually write a book. Because that's what I'm saying is, with technology today, with the strategies that we've learned over the years, that's why now we can indeed help people to write a book in 1 hour, in one day, in 1 week, 1 month. We give everybody at least 7 weeks though, because everybody don't have the same drive and determination. But clearly, as you've seen from the videos, as you've seen from some of our students, as a matter of fact, I give them maximum of 100 days because I don't go beyond that. I'm like, listen, I can't waste time. My time is valuable and I don't have time to go. If you want to spend years write your book, that's your business, okay? Matter of fact, let's put this there. And I know Dr. Cooper don't mind because she's a professional woman. This book, she was actually having published by a professional company. They was going to create the book in 18 months. And that's how she started using my stuff. I said, Doc, why are you going to take 18 months to create a book? We've already created books. So many people we've helped written books. And you can get your book done before then. So interestingly, they already had this book in the works. She had already given them the manuscript. And they were still working on it. And we went ahead and said, listen, let them do that. And I will prove to you that all of those ways are archaic. And she went ahead and we created this book. And it was done. It was written, edited, designed, promoted, became a #1 best-selling. And this one was still not done yet. Yeah. Matter of fact, when we finished designing this stole the back design from us. And that's a professional company. They stole the back design because, again, we show you your book is more than simply a book. It's a business card. So I said, you're professional. When people pick up your book, even if they don't read it, it's a big business card in their pocket. So therefore, you need to design it like a business card, because if they don't do anything and they can look on the back and see your website, see your practices, they might be willing to come to your practice. So now it's a marketing expense, and therefore you can write it off on your taxes. Alrighty, we jump in the gun. But let's talk about writing now. Okay, so the 3 things we want to cover in this next segment here, we're going to talk about how to write your book quickly, how to get it designed, and how to get it edited. So here is the anatomy of a best-selling book title. Why are we talking about title? Because if you don't title your book correctly, no one's going to read it, or it will be hard to find. We've already spread a little bit of that all throughout the presentation so far, but let me kind of give you some of these ways. So your title should be short, concise, and clear. It should be attention-grabbing. It should speak about your system, your process, or your framework. What do we mean by that? Your solution to the problem that your reader has. Okay? So for example, here we have 7 keys to effective preaching. It already tells me what it is, even if the person don't read the subtitle. The subtitle enhances the title, but people should be able to get what your book is all about. Because a good book title is good marketing, meaning it attracts your ideal reader and repels the one that you don't want. And that's why we just say your book is not for everybody, okay? For example, this book is not for everybody. This book is for people who are interested in preaching. So if you're not interested in speaking, it repels you, which is good because you only want to focus on the people that need your stuff, right? If you're not into health, Dr. Cooper's book on health is not going to help you. Okay, but notice again, in the system, in the title, you already get the idea. For example, here, the certainty of God's promises. I'm establishing that God's promises are certain and sure. Already, monetize your skills. Even if you didn't know what it's about, you already got an idea. Somehow, this is talking about how I can take my skills and monetize it. Isn't it so? And that's what the system is about. The system is going. So in other words, whatever you're going to say in the book, in the chapters, it should be hinted at minimum in the title. But if it is the title, then even better. Okay? So 7 keys. I'm not expecting 5 keys, nor am I expecting 10 keys. I'm expecting 7. Are we seeing it there? Okay. So short title. Now your subtitle is longer, but it's descriptive. So in other words, your subtitle describes your title. So it should be related and not totally disjointed, right? So it should give a specific promise, outcome, benefit, solution, or result. Alrighty? Are we there? So in other words, your title says what, but your subtitle says how you're going to do the what. Yeah? Are we there? Make sense? If that's not clear, Joel, you might monitor in the chat there. So again, let's try to bring it. Short title, Okay, short title. You don't want the title to be super long. The subtitle is where you can make it a bit longer, but the subtitle now, if you didn't capture everything in the title, the subtitle enhances or says what the book is about. So look at this subtitle here now. The title again, 7 Keys to Highly Effective Preaching, very concise. Then it says, Powerful Lessons on Preaching Transformational Sermons. I love that. It's not about preaching topical sermons. It's not about preaching titillating sermons. It's about preaching transformational sermons, meaning that sermons that will transform your life. I want to read this book. I want to read that book. So, and by the way, the subtitle can be long and it can be short too. But notice, because I've learned this, Amazon is a search engine. So this is high level stuff. This is for the advanced class. But the reason I don't mind stuff in the subtitle is because in the subtitle, when the book goes on Amazon, the more descriptive it is, it helps people to find the book. So as it were, you're putting keywords in the subtitle so that now when people search on Amazon and Google, they'll find your stuff. So let's look at a long subtitle. So now strategic secrets, very simple, right? 2 words, monetize your skills, 3 words, very simple title. But let's look at the subtitle now. Strategic secrets, you might not know what it's about. So that's why even the cover helps to define, because now I have a key there, the key to something. So it says the most effective success strategies that you will ever need to achieve greatness in your life and career. That's kind of a long, but it still is explaining what the strategic secrets is all about. So in other words, I'm giving you secrets to help you to achieve greatness in where? In your personal life or in your career. Now this one now, monetize your skills. Here's how we describe it. How to leverage your education, expertise, and experiences. Isn't that what I've just been saying throughout this whole thing here too? Right? And turn it into we leave it out there. Some of you are not comfortable with that, yeah? So that you can make a lasting impact, fund your dreams, and sustain your God-given mission, message, or cause. That's why we want you to monetize your skills. So now, if you're uncomfortable with money, this will help you out, because it's saying now, the reason why you want to monetize your skills, by the way, you don't have to go back to school, because you should already have what we said, your education. If you don't have it, you have expertise. If you don't have that, you have experiences. So anybody that can use this. But notice purpose. We're trying to pull out purpose and not just simply finances. The purpose is so you can make a lasting impact. That's speaking to spirituality and heart. So you can fund your dreams. Now that's speaking to our material needs. Then it says to sustain your mission, your message, or the cause that God has given you. Isn't that a good title? I think it's a good subtitle and a title together. Okay? So let's find another one here. Esme Patty's book, This I Declare. Again, 3 words in the title. Subtitle, a collection, so I know it's many, it's more than one, of inspirational poems. So not just poems, but inspirational. And the word inspirational is a power word when it comes to search engines, right? Poems to restore hope, love, and the peace of God. So right there, I can tell this is spirituality. So if I'm not into spirituality, I probably wouldn't get this book. So, but if I'm into spirituality and poems, then I want to get this book. Because even This I Declare, if we didn't say it was poems, off the bat, you wouldn't know it was poems. So that's what we're saying. We are enhancing the title to give further clarity. So This I Declare, it could be anything. But here, the subtitle now captures the meaning of the title. A collection of inspirational poems, but what do the poems do? They restore hope, meaning maybe I feel down. Love, maybe I feel unloved and I don't have peace. And that's what the poems are supposed to do, to give me peace. Are we getting it, my brothers and sisters? Are we getting it there? And even for those of you who are who are online here, not of my faith persuasion, you're still a brother, sister, anywho. Okay? I'm going to call you brother, sister, because that's how I talk. Amen? Now, here's a good friend of mine. By the way, if you don't get this book, you must get it, okay? This is the best book on how to pay off your debts very quickly that I know of today. Okay, it's called The Pill Method. Very simple. Notice the Pill Method is his framework, is his strategy, is the thing that he's going to talk about. P-I-L-L. Those 4 words are what he's going to use as the things. The P stands for something, the I, the L, and the L, they all stand for something. And that's what the book will go through. So right there in the title, he's captured what it's all about. He's built an entire business, entire calling, ministry, everything, brand around that simple thing, pill method. So just 3 words. And also the subtitle is very simple too, okay? Now, if I wrote the subtitle, I probably would have given it a little more beef, but even this will suffice. A better way to eliminate debt. See, a better way. So it's not just it's a better way. So we want to find out what the better way is. Now, I would have enhanced that a whole lot more. And even from better, I probably would have put the best or the number one or the ultimate, right? I'll put a stronger word there. But even that is saying it's a better way than the traditional way. But I think that he could have captured the subtitle better because truly it is the better way. But we want to know how. See, if you had put, remember, subtitle, how? If you had put a little bit more in there, I think it would capture. But anyways, I highly recommend, by the way, this book. Okay, I highly recommend it. Every one of you should get this book. It's called The Pill Method, A Better Way to Eliminate Debt. And by the way, even this book, when it was released, one phone call with Don, I said, Don, your book should be a #1 bestseller. What's going on? Because I know I have experience with this book. My former district, we use the principles of this book to pay off our church mortgage in record times. I'm using his program right now for my personal household as well. I said, so I believe in the message. So when the book is out there, because Don, we got to get this thing. He called me. Well, we spoke on the phone, and I just gave him one simple advice. I said, tweak this on Amazon. Bam. Within a day or two, his book was a #1 Amazon best-selling book. Voila. Okay. So that's what we start with, okay? When writing the book, notice we haven't even got to how to actually do the writing yet. We're covering these stuff because this is where most authors fail, or this is where most people don't get their books out there. Alrighty, so now let's look at it. Again, we got to be crystal clear, okay? You can take a screenshot of this. This book is for who? Who is the audience? Who have this particular problem? This book is for people who are in debt, Christians who are in debt, mothers who are in debt, whatever the case may be, who have this particular problem, right? So that they can, and what is the outcome? This book is for people who are in debt so that they can become debt-free in record time. In his vernacular, he says 7 to 10, 9 years. No matter how big your mortgage is, if you have an income, you don't have to even make more money. His thing is, that's why I said if he had put even those in there, it would be more powerful. His premise is, it does not matter how big your debt is. Every living person, if you have debt, you should be debt-free in 7 to 9 years maximum without even, if you don't want to, without even earning an extra penny, right? And it's true. I've experienced it. So another way of saying that is my book, my product, my training, my whatever, okay, that's the title. And what does it do? It develops, it provides. So you are now defining, right, the thing that it's going to do to help so-and-so solve such and such a problem so that once they finish, they can be in this position. So now, for example, let's break it down. Monetize your skills. Notice how the title comes in there. My book, Monetize Your Skills, okay, what does it do? It helps people take their education, expertise, and experience, and what are they going to do? Turn it into a product, program, or service. And what's going to happen? What's the outcome? They will be able to fund their dreams, sustain their mission, their message, their cause. You see that? That's what we're saying. Dr. Cooper's book on the health, again, we go back. Get healthy for life. This is helping people who are not healthy get healthy, but for life. How so? By making them be able to now live longer, stronger, and more energetic life. So that's the outcome. That's the promise. Remember, people are buying stuff for themselves. They need a solution. I want to lose weight. Your book should tell me how to do it. If your book is about vegan recipes, it should also be tasty, right? Not just, it should be tasty. So that's why in my wife's book, which unfortunately, I'm so sorry, I don't even have a copy here, but it's about tasty recipes. So we put that in there because people want good tasting recipes. Notice even this one, the plant-based cookbook, I have incredibly, because some people feel that vegan and vegetarian food doesn't taste good, right? It tastes like cardboard, and some of it do. Some of it does, rather. Use good English. But here we are saying it's incredible and it's incredibly delicious. So now I'm saying, oh, really? And anyone can make it. Okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Okay? Another formula. How to blank without blank. How to marry your soulmate without sacrificing your soul. How to get a promotion without sucking up to the boss. How to live a godly life without all the headaches and legalism. How to become a better student without burning the midnight oil. How to ace the exam without cramming all night long. Amen. I want to buy that book right there. Do you see it? Do you see how that can come out? Okay? Do you see how that can come out? How to do what without what? So, how to positive without the negative. Okay? How to tune up your car without being a mechanic. How to make a doctor's salary without being a doctor. How to make $1 million without having investments or something like that. Okay? Make sense? Alrighty, so let's move on. What's the easiest and simplest way to create a winning book title? Is to look at other book titles and model yours. Let's go back there. What's the easiest and simplest way to create a winning book title? Is to look at other book titles and model. Notice I said model, not steal, model. We're not trying to do things the hard way, folks. We're trying to do things the simple way. So now let me show you how I use this for my own book, Monetize Your Skills. So Monetize Your Skills, I say, okay, Tony Robbins is a best-selling author, New York Times, and he has at that time it was a recent book called what? Money Master the Game. So I say, I like this book and the way it's designed. So I say, well, how can I take what he has done and create something similar on my book cover? You notice that right there? So Money Master the Game, very simple title. So I got Monetize Your Skills. That fits the part where he has for Money Master the Game. Then it says the subtitle. So I didn't have my face on there, but I know it needs to be a central picture. So I have a central picture there. And then he has a border on the bottom, like an orange border at the bottom. So guess what? On my book, it's dark as well. It's black. And then there's a border on the bottom. There he has a simple one-liner. And therefore, I put a one-liner on mine. So which is also further enhancing the title and the subtitle. So this one says, Secrets from the Most Successful and Highest Paid Entrepreneurs in Their Niche. Therefore, I put something similar. So I actually did this comparison, and this is what I sent to my graphic designer. I said, I want you to design the book like this. And these were the first two markups that you see on the bottom left or bottom right of your screen. So first it was the grayed out one, light gray. I said, don't want that one. Second one, light bulbs. I say, you're getting close, but I don't like the light bulbs here. As far as making it look like, it looks cartoonish. I wanted something stronger. Then the one with the $sign in it was good, but the bulb is upside down. So I said, no. I said, okay, we're going to keep that one, but I want you to flip the bulb around because I think that's a good idea, right? You are monetizing your skills. Your ideas equals income. Because some of us, we are only looking at a job to provide for us, and we don't realize that the highest paid people in the world actually don't depend on a job. They use their talents, their gifts, their education, expertise in such a way they're using what they have here, and that's what's creating all this income. That was my research, by the way. Okay, I studied over 100 and something people, and that's what I realized. They all are making multiple 6 and 7 figures, and it's not dependent upon a job. And so that was the idea for that. So there we go. Wasn't that simple? Now I'm showing you it doesn't have to be hard, right? That's why we say you don't have to spend weeks and months and years figuring this thing out. So here's another one you can do. Go on Amazon, look for all the best-selling books. So notice we have best-selling books, right? So I know in the health space, when it comes to diet, I know J.J. Virgin is one of the top people there, right? Then we have several other people, Dr. Daniel Amen and so forth and whatnot, The Truth About Cancer. So when you look at these, again, we're not saying steal. What we're saying model. Notice Notice the similarities. So if their cover is white, your cover is white. If they have big text, you need big text. If they have small letters, you need small letters. But generally for a book, you don't want small letters, okay? But notice, I'm just showing you what are all the similarities on the book. Gigi Virgin always has a picture of herself in the book. So therefore, you should have a picture on your book if your book is in the health niche. So this will also be specific to what you're writing about. If it's on spirituality or faith, look at all the best-selling people and the best-selling books in faith and say, how are their book covers written? And model your stuff the same way. And even the title. So for example, now look at J.J. Virgin's book here, The Virgin Diet, drop 7 foods and lose 7 pounds in just 7 days. That's captivating. It's not hard. So what we can say now is, let's say your book is called something, I don't know, The Caribbean Diet. Use these. Instead of, she got 7, I'm gonna say use these 5, less than 7. So therefore it's even easier. Use these 7 foods to lose 7 pounds in just 7 days. If it's a book, I can use the same strategy. I can say the blank blank, the book to business bootcamp method, right? 7 weeks to publish your book with only 7 steps. Are you seeing the idea? Here's another one below it. 6 days to lose belly fat without exercise. You see that again, without? So we can say 6 ways to become a better mother, a better father, a better husband, a better wife without X, Y, and Z. See, I'm using this stuff about this. The truth about cancer. So I can say the truth about men, the truth about women, the truth about God, the truth about whatever your thing is, the truth about teaching, the truth about the classroom that the government don't want you to know about, right? What you need to know about blank, the history, treatment, and so forth. So if it was something for school, we could say the truth about public schools, what they don't want you to know about the corrupt history of the school system or something like that, you know, and so forth. So I'm modeling this best-selling stuff because if it's working for them and they're selling a whole ton load of books with that, then that's a secret or a clue on what you can do for your book as well. So there we have a whole bunch of ideas here, right? By the way, my friend, I gave him that tip. The young man that came here, Mr. Christopher Finley, by the way, he was a student. He had not even graduated yet, right? He was in college, but he was not a graduate as yet. He's now graduated since, but we brought him here, I think 2020 or 2021, and he stayed at my house. And when he was doing his presentation, I asked him the very same question. I said, why don't you have a book? And I started showing him some of these things in just one night. And I gave him this little tip right here. And guess what? He went and he modeled off of what? Stephen Covey's books, the 7 highly effective habits or something like that, right? And notice he came up with what? The 7 keys to highly effective preaching. But you see, it was modeled after Stephen Covey's best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective. So again, we didn't take that one. Notice we didn't we modeled. We didn't steal his title. Our title, by the way, titles are not copyrighted, okay? But we don't steal. What we said, we model. But notice I said he still have what? The power words, highly effective, and 7. People love the number 7, okay? By the way, your book should be, if you're going to write anything for steps, you should have 3 steps, 5, 7, 10, no more than 12. I probably wouldn't even go past 10, but no more than 12. But you want to have ideally 3 steps. 5 is also a good number, as you can see from right here with John Maxwell. He has some 5s, right? 5 steps, 7 ways to, 7 habits of, 7 crucial this or that, okay? And then 10. And 12. 21 is also, you know, something up there as well, right? Because we have 21 days, 21 stuff like that. But that works, you know, in some places. But here's the thing. People don't want a whole lot of steps. People want the fastest way to anything. But I'm letting you know, if you're going to use a number or you're teaching in a book or whatever, try to use those numbers. Again, 3, 5, 7, 10, and 12. I wouldn't go past 12. Seldomly, I would even go past 10. But 3, 5, and 7 are like the ideal magical numbers, so to speak, okay? 3, 5, and 7. Alrighty. So now I'm going to skip some slides here because I want to give you some extra tips here. Okay. I want to give you some extra tips because we're going to get into editing. So let me tell you again, because I'm looking for the slide here where we can skip. I'm going to design, but let me tell you how the faster ways to write the books now. Let me tell you how you're going to write your book quickly. Okay. Are we ready? Speedy Gonzalez. Now, number one is the traditional old-fashioned way. Okay. If you have time, and you want to, which is tough for most people, that's the main obstacle, but we're going to start there. The most difficult way is for you to sit down and slug away actually writing the book, meaning that, well, praise God, you should never be writing your book with hands, right? So typing it, right? So you got to type it out. Okay, you got to type it out. But if you have an outline here, you're good to go. Okay, but write it out. So that's why, with the title, if it's 5, it's so forth, you have 5 main chapters, 7 main chapters, 10, 12, whatever. Those are your key chapters, okay? So you're going to write the book by typing it out. Make sure you save often, okay? Don't worry about editing. We're not getting to editing yet. Do not worry about editing. This is not a beautiful thing about today. And this is not a beautiful thing about why anybody can write a book. I don't care if you flunk English, because your job is not to edit the book. We're going to get professionals to do it. So the professionals will polish your mess. Amen. So that's another reason why you don't have to be obsessed and worried about whether or not your book is going to be this, because we're going to have the pros to be able to help us make our book sound good. Amen. I didn't learn that in my first book. I did everything, which I say, never again would I try to edit my own book or my own works. Okay. You don't have to worry about editing, because that helps you also to be fast in getting it out your head. Okay. Just get it out your head. So number one, again, you're going to write the book, physically write the book, okay, save it. And then, of course, we're going to take that, submit that to our editor. Number two, think about this, though. Think about this. Are we getting excited now? The second quickest way to write your book now, or another fast way to write your book, rather, okay, because you'll choose which is the fastest for you. But this here, don't miss it at all. You want to speak your book. Chance, what do you mean? Because I can speak faster than I can write. And that's how. That was my secret to writing a book in an hour. I had the outline, because just like now, just like when I preach, right? I generally have an outline. And because I'm speaking about what I know, it's already in me. So I can just bring it out. And what I do now, here's now, how is it going to be written? Well, don't worry about how it's going to be written first. Let's speak it. So imagine, or get a group of people and speak to them. You train them. And now we're going to take that content that you spoke and we're going to transcribe it. And when you finish transcribing it, you send it to the editor. You are done. You are done. Isn't that a fast way? That's a super fast way. So when I did my book in 1 hour, which was the transition to civilian life, my part of that book, what I did is put it on a wall. I still have the sheet of paper at home. I have a big legal size or drawing size paper, tape it on the wall. I had my my Blue Yeti mic, and I was pretending I'm teaching, and I spoke through my entire parts of the book. Then I take it. I didn't even look at it again. I took it. I sent it straight to the transcriptionist. And after the transcriptionist was done, they sent it over to the editor. The editor polished it up. And then I sent it to my designer. And voila, my book is done in an hour. How much work did I do? 1 hour's work. Now, and even the transcription didn't take that long either. I think it took about either 1 day to be able to do as well. Yeah. So the editor probably took the longest, which is about 3 days. Normally my editing it takes about 3 days, maybe 5, never more than that generally. So that's the secret right there. Another way you can do it is recording. That's what Ivor Myers did. Ivor Myers' testimony, he went to a church like we have here. He gave his testimony. They captured it on video, and that's a product, by the way, right there. But you can also do the same thing. You can transcribe it. So we can speak it, we can videotape it, we can get it transcribed, sent to the editor, and you're done. The editor edit the books. Of course, you might want to review it and then send it over to the design people to get the book done. You're not designing the book. Don't do like I did 5 years, learning graphic design, learning Photoshop, learning InDesign so I can design my own book, the cover and the interior. That's a hot mess. We don't do that anymore. That's wasting time. Okay? Let the pros do their job and you focus on what you're a pro at. They can't write the book. You can write the book. So you focus on what you do and let them do what they do best. Make sense? Already. So now we have, let's go off the screen here. So, okay. So now we have writing it literally. Then we have speaking it. We have videotaping it. But here's another way you can get it done. We can now, what you call, I'm not sure for those of you who might not be, certain professions, they use what they call mind map or an outline, right? Mind mapping there's mind mapping software. Some are free online you can do. You just create all the connection points. So for example, the book has 7 chapters, 7 ways to lose weight in 7 days. Already? Here's what you need to do. Number 1, nutrition. Number 2, exercise. Number 3, this and that. So I write all of that out. And then now you can have somebody to create the content for you, or you go ahead and do the same thing. You speak it out, you videotape it out, send it off. So you see you have multiple ways. If you are good at just writing and you can write fast, of course, do that too. Because you're going to use a semblance of probably all of these strategies. But now you know more than one way. I'm telling you the fast way because our goal is to get your book published by the holidays, for Christmas at least. Okay, if you're ambitious, you can get it done by Thanksgiving. Already? But at the bare minimum, you need to get it out for Christmas so that other people can get the book for the holidays. People are buying a lot of stuff for the holidays. So that means your book should be ready to publish either the first, second week of December. Already? And if you follow this, it can be done. Okay? So now, here's another way, which gonna shock some of you, but then you will say, it makes a lot of sense. Now, if you are a professional who helps create training manuals and all of that, you already have content for a book. If you are a student, that's why we say education is good too. If you're a student and you have turned in any type of assignment, you have a book. Turn your homework, your paper, your dissertation, your thesis into a book. That's many ways right there. What? Is that even legit? Of course it is. So now don't try to treat my book differently now because you heard my secret. Now let me show you this here now. Where is my book on prayer? Where is it? Where did I put that book? All right, let me take this one, Monetize Your Skills. So I brought 2 versions of this book here for you to see today. Okay, here we go, book on prayer. Let's start with that one because that was the simplest work. This book on prayer was actually 26 pages of an assignment that I did in school. I had to do an assignment about prayer, and I had 26 pages that I turned in. And therefore, when I started getting the writing bug, and I realized that a lot of the people that you see creating books like almost every month are using these strategies, I realized, man, I'm sitting on books. So I went back, and of course, you expanded on it a little bit, take out some of the, make it sound not so academic. You take out some of those jargons and so forth. But then here we go. That's the book right there. That is the book right there. But this was an assignment. Okay? Not only that, but there's a book here that I published under a pen name as well, but it's my own book, DR Fortune, which actually, again, these are some of the advanced strategies, right? Because this year I had created 3 books and I didn't want my books competing. So I published 2 of them on a different name so that I can release all of them at the same time, okay? But you shouldn't release all the books at the same time because they may compete against one another. But anyways, they all stand for me anyways. DR Fortune, these are my middle initials backwards, and Fortune is another way of saying chance. So this is Randrick Dillon Chance. So now you know, okay? So now, this was an assignment, and check this out, even for my undergraduate class in psychology, and I was writing about the mind. I got a very good grade on there, and I always would speak about, these challenges of the mind, and I realized, I'm like, hold on, why don't I make this into a book? And so again, I took that. It's a very simple book, very easy read. It's 60 pages, but this is a book based on an assignment, and now it's also an audiobook. I turned it into an audiobook. 1 product, 2 product, now we have 3. An audiobook. There you go. There you go. Are you getting the idea? So I'm telling you, you already have a book, and now you just got to tweak it a little bit and bring it out for the holidays. Now let's go to monetize your skills. Now check this out. For my master's degree, I did a master's degree in project management. And instead of doing a thesis, I wanted to do a project, but it also worked for a thesis because at that time, I realized a lot of people were graduating, have all these advanced degrees, and they were not getting jobs. And some of them were actually choosing to stay in school. And I'm realizing by that time, I'm big in the internet and technology, and I'm realizing, hold on, there's a whole lot of people not only just doing well online, but they're making 6 and 7 figures. What's the secret? So I actually had to go ask permission from the president of the university. And I said, listen, I don't want to do a thesis. I want to do a project. This is very dear to me. And I want to interview people who are actually making money online and figure out what's the remedy, the secret, the strategy, the principle, the framework, whatever you want to call it. What is causing them to do so well? And maybe that can be a solution to people who got knowledge, because a lot of the people that I'm seeing here, they're not as educated. And how are they doing this stuff? Because they learn tools. So again, that's what I'm saying. I went out and I interviewed and I studied 110 people, how they're actually leveraging the power of technology, especially the internet, and they're creating products, programs, or services, writing books, courses, anything, coaching and all this stuff, but they're using online to do it. And so actually the printout of this book is actually the paper that I turn in. I put it in book form so I can see what it would look like. And then I went to work. I said, hold on. I did all that work. I know that most academic stuff, dissertation, theses, just sit in a library somewhere and nobody really reads it, right? Not even the people who actually, when you take your defense, they don't read all of that stuff. They just skim through it, but then it just sits there for another student some point or somewhere in the future to read. And you spend all that money. So I'm telling you, all your money that you spend for school can be recuperated if you start converting your knowledge that you did into books and courses and online products. Okay? So what I did, I went to work and actually I converted it into a little bit more friendly reader type of thing. Again, just taking out most of the academic jargon and stuff like that, so it's not looking and sounding like it's a school paper per se, but I left a whole lot of interviews in there. Not only that, but all the interviews that I did, I actually put them online for sale and people were buying them. And that's what I realized. I got something here. People, I put it the price of $25 and $49 and then $97. First person that bought it was from New Zealand, overseas. And then I said, I need to turn it into an online course. $500. And people say, can you coach me and do those things? I said, well, no problem. Let's create an online course for it. But everything is based on that. So now it has done me better than it would have just sitting down in a classroom. So if you have written an assignment, if you have written any long papers for school, if you have done a master's thesis, if you have done a master's project, if you have done a dissertation, just for the academic folks, that's 5 different possibilities that you have to create a book. And the church should say amen if there was a church right there. Does it make sense though? Think about it. Does it make sense? Even the dissertation, most people would never read or buy your dissertation because it's too big and it's a whole bunch of numbers and charts and figures. Nobody wants that stuff. But if you take the same thing that you did and you now put that into some type of book, guess what? You're good to go. And can I tell you something? Remember I told you that in the summer there, again, because these are all people that I help and people who take my course online and they find the secrets too. So here we have Dr. Teresia Williams. If you're watching, again, I hope it's okay with you to use this example. So Dr. Williams, PhD, saw a presentation that I did, and I was explaining this same idea of how people can write books using the academic stuff. And she was like, hold on, I got a whole bunch of assignments that I did. And of course, you got good grades. And guess what? I said, well, let's put that stuff in a book, honey. And that's what she did. The majority of this book is based on academic work that she's already done. And here now she has a published book that will make her an expert, right? Because only her professors or whoever was grading those papers saw her wonderful work. And that's all it will ever be. It will just sit there. Nobody else benefits from it. Okay? So take your stuff out of the classroom And what you've written, because it's already copyrighted and owned by you, the moment you turn it in, the moment you put it on paper, it became your property. So why just have it sit down in school? And you've paid so much money, it's good to recoup some of your money. So are we there, folks? I've given you so many ways just like that there. So you want to, the fastest way, I would say, is to speak it or videotape it, then take it to a transcriber, then have the transcriber send it to an editor, you review it, and then straight from there, send it off to be created. That's what we're going to cover now, how to get your book designed, okay? So now, I want you to write down there, what will you use to write your book, okay? What will you use to write your book? I'm going to skip through to the designing process here. I want you to write down, what will you use to write your books? That's where we're going into the design now. What will you use to write your book? Will you write it physically by you just typing it out on a computer? Will you record it using an outline or mind map? Will you go somewhere and have a small audience and maybe speak to them, train them on there, talk to them about it, and use that to create the shell at least, and then have an editor do it for you? There's another way which we haven't covered, but I don't want you to focus on that right now. That's more advanced stuff, and that might cost more money. But is ghostwriting. You can do a ghostwriter project, right? That's another way. Ghostwriting meaning somebody will write the book for you, and then you are the one who actually owns the book. By the way, all these presidents, politicians, and so forth, they don't write their book. It's somebody else writing their book for them. But generally, it all depends on who you get to write it. But that can be a very expensive undertaking. But even there's some people who will do it for, if you got the money like that, hey, why not spend it? You have a book anyways. You think all these movie stars also sit down and write their books? No, honey. Actually, it's ghostwriters primarily that writes their books for them. Already? And then you have the preachers, all these preachers that you see, the big mega church preachers and so forth. Every week they have almost, it's like every week or every month or so, they're coming out with a brand new book. Well, the way they're doing it is they're converting their sermons. So pastors, if you're listening to me or anybody who teaches, turn your sermon series into a book. I'm teaching a series right now on worship. It's already got about 10 sermons on there. And I'm not just going to have that sit down there because, again, I can only preach it maybe once in the church. But am I going to just let that content sit down? I've spent so much. I've been on this for over 2 months now studying this thing. I'm not just going to have that sit down there and just, whenever people go back and watch it. No, I'm going to turn it into a book or a course and teach it. Okay, so more people can benefit beyond the pews of the church. So there you go. You can have a ghostwriter write your book. Let me give you one other way. Another way is collaboration, that's what we call co-authorship. Right? So there's a good friend of mine right now, Tanita Johnson, and she does a lot of anthology work, right? But what she does is she will get 12 people together, 7 people, so that each of them just do one chapter. So think about that's another fast way you can get your book done. Get a collaboration of 5, 6, 7 people. If your book is going to be 5 chapters, get 5 people. If it's going to be more, or you said 2 chapters in the book. And what you do is you just do your 1 or 2 chapters. They do their 1 or 2 chapters, you bring them all together, and now you have a book. So instead of you fighting to do the whole entire book, all you got to do is 1 chapter or 2 or maybe 3. I wouldn't go more than 3. If you got to do more than 3, you might as well do the whole book. So I'm saying do 1 or 2 chapters and let other people, by the way, that's an advanced strategy too, because we're not going to cover all that today, but here's the way. That's one of the ways you can also fund your book and get the money to print and publish. So what you do is you are the main author, but you charge other people. And you tell them they need to pay you a certain amount of money to get a chapter or 2 in your book because you are making them an author as well, but they don't have to write the whole book. And by the way, that's how celebrity branding does it. That's what I had to learn from them. All of these people, again, that you see out there, the big names, so-and-so, I wouldn't mention them, right? That's for our private, thing, and when we teach this on an advanced level. But a lot of these people that you see out there who are books, that's how many of them even started or what they do now. They just create 1 chapter in the book. 1 chapter. But because they are in there, they are what? Automatically an author as well. There you go. That's the best marketing program out there. So again, do you see so many options? Who can you collaborate with? So maybe you can't do it all yourself. That's what I'm saying is you can get 2 or 3 people together to write a weight loss book or a cookbook. Say, hey, you do 2 things on that, 2 things on that, or share your best knowledge. If somebody's good on parenting, bring 5 parents together. Say, teach 2 of the best strategies that you know about parenting, and let's bring them together and create a book. So you give them 2-3 weeks. It's easy to write that book, write 2 or 3, chapters rather than writing an entire book. So if each of them do that, and let's say you give them even a month, right? We're October, November, by mid-November, you should be done. We take the rest of the month to design it, 1 more month if you want to do 2 months, because this rest of the process is not yours anymore. Once you've already created the content for the book, you don't have to do anything else. Because the design and the editing, the editing is not you, the design is not you, and the publishing, it doesn't have to be you either, but you can upload it to Amazon for free. Let me clap myself right there. Alrighty. So now I want you to write right now, before we get into design real quick. We are now at 5:28, so I got 32 minutes. So I'm going to give you just a moment right now to actually write down, how do you want to create or write your book? Okay, are you going to collab a co-author on there? Are you going to use some academic work that you've done in the past, assignment, long papers, dissertation, theses, whatever it may be? Are you going to use those? Are you going to speak it? Are you going to write it? Are you going to, whatever you're going to do? I give you a whole lot of opportunities to do so, okay? If you have the money, are you just going to ghostwrite it? Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, because even with the ghostwriting, you can give the people the outline, the content, say, hey, I want a book about so-and-so. Here is the outline. I don't have time, but these are the things I want you to write about. I want you to put in there, give it to them. That's their expertise. Let them do that hard work, and you're good to go. All right? You're good to go. Alrighty, so let's take a moment and do that while I get a sip of water here. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. You're going to write down right now, how is it that you want to create your book before the holidays? Alrighty, family. We are ready to bring this thing in the landing. We got 30 minutes, so I'm going to go like Speedy Gonzalez here. I hope that you have been blessed by this presentation. Again, we all want to be good stewards of the manifold gifts and talents that we have. And this is just one other way that we can impact the world and make a difference. So I know that many people, again, research shows that many people want to write a book, especially in America. Over 80% of people have a desire to write it. Some people just don't know how, because people love to also make things difficult when it does not have to be. I believe that we serve an awesome God who simplifies everything, right? He said, this is how you be healthy. Like, he just gave us some simple health principles. Like, we like to make stuff hard. And the wisest man actually says that in the book of Ecclesiastes. King Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived after Jesus, actually said, God has made man upright or simple, but they have sought out many inventions. In other words, they complicate life. Okay, they complicate life. So I want you to write a book because, again, of what it can do to change lives. Again, we must create stuff for other people, and especially for us who are professionals. And if you speak to anybody, here's the thing. People cannot just interact with your work one time. They need to go deeper. So I learned this a lot too, just from observation. You know, one big conference I went to, I heard a good preacher of mine preach a message. But he himself has said, because his wife encouraged him to publish books, he was saying, what happens after the sermon? And everybody said amen. After everybody enjoyed it, what happens? That's it. But he said, with a book, they can go deeper, they can study more. Because think about it too. God could have still been speaking to us audibly, you know, that's still one way he speaks to us, yes. But he left us his book. Right? Because he knows, like, these people here, I got to write it down for them, because let me tell you, there's some forgetful somebodies, okay? But I'm just saying, your book, though, can transform people's life. Think about it. All of education, no matter where you go in the world, there has to be a textbook of some sort. No matter how much technology we have, we still need a book, because here's the thing, even if the book is digital, we got to learn from something. So it has to be written and documented. So that's the power of books. We cannot ever, even though the wisest man also said, of the making of many books, there is no end. That doesn't mean we stop. It means, indeed, until this world ends, we will always be writing books. Why not have yours over there? Not only that, but you have something to say that I don't have to say. Not only that, but you have people to reach that I cannot reach. So put your message in a book. And we're going to show you how to now put it in other things as well. But the book is like the launch part, okay? So let's talk quickly about designing now, because after you've now, planned your book, you've seen how to produce it in a fast way. Once you have that document, some people call it a manuscript, whatever you want to call it, I just simply keep it as content. Once you have enough content that you want to publish, don't worry about the rest of it, because that's not your job. Send it to a designer. Now, a designer, not everybody who's a graphic designer is necessarily able to create the book, right? But any graphic designer should be able to create a cover, okay? And there's some download material that I need to get to you guys. But if you also go to greaterrandolph.com/gifts download, greaterrandolph.com/gift download, you will be able to download a flow chart that helps you to how to build the book and outline the book and so forth. So many people have commented that it alone was helpful to them. Matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who is also working on his doctorate, but is a businessman in the McAllen area. He said that was the most important little piece of paper, one sheet of paper that he had that helped him to finish his book. And he just finished a business book based on that outline that I have there. It's called Network Like a Millionaire. He actually used this little one sheet to be able to create his book. So go to, again, greaterrandolph.com/gifts download, and you'll be able to download that cheat sheet. I call it the chance book writing flow chart. So it says, okay, this is what you need. This is a little bit example of what it's going to look like. So where can you get it designed? This is for if you get the manual. These are the page numbers that I get in there. But here's what you're going to send to your graphic designer. That's why we did those work first. You can't have a graphic designer design a book without a title. So Here's what the graphic designer will need for the front cover. They need the title, the subtitle. They will need also the name of the author. If you want to put in your credentials, you can do that. A call to action sticker, right? They will know what that is, but that's pretty much something like buy now, get it. Or if you are featured on TV, you can put something like that, featured on Forbes magazine, featured on CNN, or whatever outlet you want to put on there, something like that. Or forward by so-and-so. If you get a famous person to, kind of give their 2 cents on your book, you can use that on there. Forward written by, so for example, let's say, okay, we talk about John Maxwell. So let's say John Maxwell were to say, hey, this book is awesome, or he wrote the foreword for you. You want to put it on there because that now helps people to buy your book. Whoa, if John Maxwell can sign off on this book, it's got to be good. All right, you also want to tell them what fonts, what colors you want, what images you want, or pictures. So give them ideas. So they're not just starting from scratch. And I'll give you a place where you can go and get a lot of this done. I think I just went back there in the comments. I see Tora Spraggs on there. By the way, Tora Spraggs is a graphic designer. She's done some work for us here at the church. So you might want to contact her as well. But again, it's good to give them something to start with. A lot of designers can just come up with things, but I like to give them an idea. And I have found that since I started doing this, I only need about 3 revisions, or at least 3 markups to get to the ultimate of what I'm looking for. Okay, so tell them, I want this type of fonts. I want this size of lettering. I love this kind of color and so forth and whatnot. So when we help people write books, actually we give them a Google form and say, give us all this information. On the back cover, you need the main headline and a sub-headline. Now, again, look at some books for ideas on this. Actually, let me show you what one looks like here. So this is my book, Transition to Civilian Life. There we go. It was a co-authored book. On the back side, notice it has a big headline on the top of the back there too. You can replace your military income. Notice that. You can transition with confidence. That is also answering what? Their problems. You see, we go back to the pain point. How am I going to transition? I don't feel comfortable transitioning. I don't know what's going to be like out there. I don't know if I'm going to replace my income and so forth and whatnot. So notice here, all of this, by the way, this is the exact, all these little notes that I have on there, this is exactly what I sent to my graphic designer. And when they bring it back, I give them different things. I say, okay, here's what you need to change. This is what you need to put here. This is what you need to put there, and so forth. So on the back cover, you want to have a description. Not a long description per se, because you want to add bullet points, which is easy to read. If you have testimonials, all the better. Because you want other people, the Bible says that too, right? Let other people praise you and not your own lips. So here we are putting in even biblical principles in book writing, right? So if you have testimonials, you want to put at least 3, no more than 5. You can actually, I've seen some books, they fill up the whole back with testimonials, especially if they come from reputable people. It helps a lot. Then you have the author, small bio, about 4 sentences, maybe no more than 6 sentences, a picture of yourself. Even that is going out of style right now, but you don't have to, but it's good, to put your own picture in the back of your book. I have on 1 or 2 of mine, the prayer book. I have on there, I think, Monetize Your Skills. I don't have it on there, nope. So it all depends on how much meat, content you have on the back of it. So you want to have a brief bio. So here's what I suggest as well. Go take a professional picture, okay? And get it for the designer. Don't go no bootleg, photos from 1988 and 1800s, you know what I'm saying? Get an updated picture of yourself. It's your content you're putting out there. Make sure it looks good, already? Because not only that, but people need quality picture. Graphic designers, they will not like you sending a picture that's pixelated and so forth and not good quality. So I would recommend, if you're going to use a picture, which by the way, again, you do not have to use your own picture in the back of your book. But if you do, make it a professional picture. Right? And then you can also list the price on there, contact information. A lot of people don't do that, but I recommend that because, again, your book is like a marketing piece, right? You want people to contact you. So at a bare minimum, it should have on there your website. If you have a business, I would put my business address on there. Right now, if your business is, not established, then you might not want to put an address on there. But especially for all the professionals that ask me for advice, I always have them put their stuff on there because for them, I say your book is a better business card than an actual business card. Then a barcode, the ISBN barcode, ISBN number, and the category that it belongs to. For example, self-help, inspiration, spirituality, prayer, whatever that is. So they'll be able to help you out on that as well. Okay. And you don't have to have every single thing, but at a bare minimum, you must have a description. You should have a description. You should have some bullets or testimonials. You want to have the contact information. Your book should and must have an ISBN barcode if you wanted to, the pricing and the sales to be populated across the world and stuff like that. Okay. So for ebooks, you don't have to have an actual barcode on there, but it is still recommended that you have one. So just take a screenshot of this and send it to them. Okay. You don't have to fight up and worry about yourself with all of this stuff here. That's what they need. Give it to them and you'll be good to go. Okay. So here's another example. Also, another good thing is find examples of books that you like, at least 2 or 3 maybe, and send that to your designer. Say, I want my book to look something like this. So here's a picture of the box that I use for Monetize Your Skills course. So I look at somebody else's example here and notice I put arrows and all this kind of stuff. And I say, Joel, are you showing them the slide? Okay, good. I'm here making sure. I got my son working here. Yeah, I should give him some props in the back right here. He's 8 years old and he's running the live stream. Amen. Kids can learn a thing or two. Amen. So yeah. So if you see on the screen right now, you notice again, I want my stuff to look like this, and these are the notes I give my graphic designer. So I'm making their work also easier. And not only that, because it's easy for them, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be faster for me to get my book done. Okay. Alrighty. So notice I keep coming back. If you haven't done this, I want you to do it. Okay. Remember, because we're wrapping up and some people don't do the assignment. I want you to do this. How are you going to actually write your book? Have you written down? You're going to outline it. I think I saw 1 or 2 comments there. Are you going to draw it out in a diagram or mind maps? Are you going to write it out, speak it out, outsource it even as a ghost writer or freelancer? Alrighty. So how do we outline a book? If you're going to speak your book, you need an outline. So you want to select your topic, your niche, or category. For example, how to be healthy. So if we were doing that, we'd say, okay, the introduction, 2 to 5 pages. And by the way, this is where that book writing flowchart comes in very handy. So again, go to greaterroundup.com/gifts download. You can download it. So these are the things I'm going to cover in a book. Let's say a basic book. I'm just giving you an example. I'm going to write a book about how to be healthy, right? I wouldn't call it that, right? It's too generic, but nonetheless, for example's sake. So we're going to say the introduction, 2 to 5 pages. Then I'm going to write about exercise. And notice the notes, I just got those in there. So for me, I don't have to go write the whole book. This is what I'm going to speak because I know in the exercise chapter, these are what I want to talk about. I want to talk about running, the types of running, the clothing you need, the shoes that you need, or apps that you can use. If I'm going to talk about walking, I'm going to say, what type of weather is best to walk in, how many minutes is ideal, gardening or weightlifting. So those are what I want to cover. That's going to be 10 to 15 pages. Then I'm going to talk about rest, sleep, how long, when should you sleep, when is ideal to sleep, what are the statistics or research findings on sleep deprivation, 10 to 15 pages. Eating right. I'm going to talk about different types of diets. I'm going to talk about the research and statistics out there. I'm going to give you examples and the results. We're going to talk about vegetarian diets, vegan diets, different things like that. That can be more bulky depending on who is writing it. So that's, for me, I think if I was writing a book on that, it'll be about 20 to 25 pages. Okay. Then we're going to talk about drinking water. We're going to talk about attitudes, right? The attitude also plays a big role in health. So we're going to talk about being happy, cheerful, and laughter. Laughter is good medicine. So even that right there will be different than what most people expect in a typical health book. So now you also get a little edge up. So that will be 15 to 20 pages. And then I have a conclusion, a summary, or call to action, CTA. What do I want you to do? Just like an appeal in a sermon. What do I want you to do now that you have read about how to be healthy? Here are the next action steps I want you to do. I want you to actually get on an exercise program. I want you to go buy this app. I want you to go buy the clothing that you're going to use for running. I want you to put your running shoes under your bed. Tomorrow, I want you to get out the bed and get going. That's a call to action and appeal. And that's why I keep coming back here. I'm using some of the same strategies because I'm telling you to do the action. because it's not good to just observe the information. I want you to take action. Or now you can tell them, now that you've read this book, praise the Lord, I want you to go ahead now and enroll in my online course or my coaching program. So now they're moving from basic to advanced. Okay. And then you have a page or two about the author or for the recommendations for other books. Right there, that's about 100 pages to 144 pages for a book. Voila. And by the way, even an outline like that, that's where you can send that outline to the ghostwriter or the freelancer for them to develop it for you. And then you can add more to it and so forth. Or like I said, you can speak it and videotape it or do a seminar on it and then record the seminar. Even like today, for example, do you realize that even this 3-hour seminar, I could actually go and send this to a transcriber, have them transcribe it, and then I can have somebody edit it so it sounds, we can take out some of the things there, but they can put it in such a format. Now I can actually take this and make a book out of this presentation that I've done here today. Okay, so now I want you to take a screenshot because we don't have time for this here, but I want you to create your outline, right? 5 to 10 things that people need to know about your topic that you're going to write about. Okay, so remember 5 to 10 big things. Remember we said 3, 5, 7, 10. So we're not going past that. So this could be a 10-chapter book, 5-chapter book, 7-chapter book, or 9-chapter book. 9 is kind of random, so I would probably stick with 5, 7, 10. Right? 3, okay. I'll give you at least 5. Let's start with at least 5. Then now I want you to write 3 to 5 related things that they need to know about each of those 7 to 10 things or the big things. So in other words, the big chapter, that's how we broke it down, right? We said our book on health would have been about, we're going to have exercise, drinking water, we're going to have rest and so forth and attitudes. So those were the big ones. And then underneath 3 to 5 things, what kind of running shoes you need, what kind of exercise is ideal and so forth. Those were the related things. And then out of all of that, what's the number one thing that you need to know? This comes in handy for like, for example, some people may have to read a book 1 or 2 times, but there should be one key thing that people do by the end of a book, just like a good sermon, right? At least what's the one take home? At the end of the day, I want you to know that if you just simply get out and exercise, you will actually be healthy. So that can be something you keep coming back to over and over again. Like for me, for this presentation, is the one thing would be, if you do what we're saying here, that's why I keep telling you, do your exercise, do this, do that. If you do this stuff, I know at the end of it, it will give you more momentum to actually go ahead and write your book before the year is out. Rather than if you just take notes or you just, do things, it's just going to be what? It's going to be harder to do, okay? So let's get it printed now. So now, after the book is designed, remember, you're sending everything to a designer or someone who does formatting. And by the way, some of the places where you can get these done, you can get them done at Fiverr.com, Fiverr, Fiverr.com. You can go to Upwork.com. All of these are what is anything you actually need done is always on these things. There's so many freelancers across the world right now. Okay, make sure you have good reviews though. Make sure they have done a lot of projects. So you want to make sure that you're not selecting anybody there who does not have a good rating. Okay, you don't want to be their first project. Okay, so go to Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. Go to Upwork.com. Okay, Upwork.com or Odesk.com, Odesk.com. And you can also just type in Google, right? Where, book designer, this one, book editor. So, these are all places you can actually find people. Or editors. Don't let your cousin, your brother, your sister edit your book, okay? No, that's out of it. But you can also go to universities and have college professors who are actually like, that's their major, that's their main thing. But the only caveat I have there is that sometimes in the classroom, they will look at writing as if it's academic. So you want to make sure that they understand this is a book for the public. We're not trying to sound academic here. So for me, like, I write the way I speak, okay? That's my signature. So I want when my audience read a book, it sounds like if Chance is talking to them. So I'm going to have some things in my book that might not be so grammatically correct from an academic perspective. okay? No spelling and all those things. I'm talking, that's not what I'm talking about, typos. But there's some ways I'm going to say something. This happened to me when I was actually writing 2 books. The small book on promises and this book, Am I a Real Christian? And so actually I had a great editor. She edits the actual Clear Word Bible, right? For those of us who are Adventists, you understand. The lady who helped edit that book, edit my book right here. And she was like, you sound so, it's coming across so strong. I said, lady, that's how I want it to sound. Because if they were listening to me, that's how it would come across. So I say, you only focus on, because here's the thing, you're paying the editor, you're paying the designer, so get your work the way you want it, okay? So that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful with the academics, because that's the one thing sometimes they're very stiffler for sounding academic, but we're not writing academic. We're writing books to change life, already? So it's not academics. So in other words, but yeah, make sure. So I told her, make sure. Your job is to make sure that, yes, there's no spelling error, the flow is okay, and all of that, like the basic grammar stuff. But when it comes to voice, tonality, when it comes to the transformation, we're not going to worry about the rest of the stuff. That's just for me, okay? That's just for me. Because I believe that that's my signature. I want the way I speak to carry over into my book. Of course, we're not violating too much of the English grammar. But I know, for example, spelling and those things, yeah, those are given. You're not going to have, you don't want those in there. But my voice, because when I speak, some people get it. That's why I say your book is not for everybody. And my books is not for everybody. My book is for a specific group of people that understand me also, because I want them to feel what I'm saying. Because when I'm writing like if I'm speaking to that individual, okay? So again, Fiverr.com, it will be a basic one, Odesk.com, even freelancer.com. You go to these places and you will find people to help you both edit the stuff. 99 Design is another place. They can be kind of expensive though. You can go to 99 Design, the number 99 and designs. You can find people to do work there as well. Graphic design too, though, a good place. I know I've had college students. That's why I would get college students to do my graphics as well. One of my books actually, my testimony book, I did design the cover there first, but then I gave a stab to a college student and she designed 2 books for me, and she did a very good job. And she was just a recent graduate with a degree in graphic design. So students, you can find students to do your stuff, okay? If you're gonna have, with the editing though, the editing is very serious business. Like to me, I wouldn't wait, I spend the most money actually on editing because I wanna make sure the stuff is also good. But I also find editors who understand me because I'm paying them. So I have editors for when I want basic editing. I did one for premium, and when I want it fast, like express, that's where you pay the most money. So again, I've had grandmamas edit my stuff, but that was their background. Retired people who are looking for an income. Those are places where you can also find people to do work for you. I've got people who have been retired, and I've had them edit some of my projects, and and that's a good thing because hey, they're just sitting on their knowledge, and therefore they can use it for good work. Okay. So now, once you wanted to print, so here are some of the places where you can get your work printed. Well, CreateSpace is no more really. You can go to Amazon, Amazon Kindle, Amazon KDP. They used to own CreateSpace, but Amazon now prints in several. They print also hardcovers and soft covers. Lulu.com, and all of these you can create a free account, but of course you got to pay for the printing. But you can upload the digital version for free. So proofing right here is only for if you're creating a physical book. If you want to do digital, well, you can upload your book there and it's done for free. By the way, we're not covering all of that because when the graphic designer converts your book, should give you a good graphic designer. You want to ask them, are they going to give you the Kindle or the digital version of your book? If they give that to you, voila. So that's why I say you don't got to worry about the rest because they should give you the cover. They give me the interior layout. If it's a print book, the PDF of the print book, and if it's a digital book, then they give me the formats, EPUB formats that I need for publishing on all the other platforms. Okay, so here are the publishing platform. Okay, Nook Press, this is by Barnes and Noble, right? Then you have Bookmasters, is a place where you can print the book. Bookmasters, though, they are a great option if you want large quantities, right? I have one friend of mine, he prints from them. Then 48-hour books, which will literally print your book in 48 hours after the proof. So you have to proof it first, but if you will get your book in 48 hours. Then you have Lightning Source is another place. They do full publishing as well. So you can get your book published there. But again, all of this you can do on your own now. You can use Amazon. You set up an Amazon KDP account. Go to kdp.amazon.com, create an account. Once the designer gave you the files, it's really simple, guys. You're going to go in there. It's going to say, upload your book. What's the title of your book? What's the description of your book? Which category is your book? And then give us the file. And then you preview the file. If it's digital, it can all be done in one day. So that's what I'm saying is. So let's say you take a month to write your book. Then the editor takes a week to edit it for you. The graphic designer takes another week. 2 months, your book is done. Because in one day, your book can be ready for publishing. The publishing is the easiest one. The publishing, like I told you, is the easiest one because you're just going to press publish. Okay? So what are your publishing options? Okay? So here are the basic ones, like I said. These are the platforms. You can go Amazon KDP, which is number one. Your book should always be on there. You have lulu.com, nukepress.com, actually for Apple as well. Apple iBooks. You want to have your book there on Apple iBooks as well, right? And we give you a lot more, but these are some of the basics. Or just type in online, where can we find books? Where should I publish my books? Now, how do we publish? Here's another fast thing. In today's world, the fastest and best way to publish your book is to publish it yourself. We call it self-publishing. Why? Because the overhead is better. You actually get to keep most of the profits. And not only that, but you can get your book in a day, in a week, however long you take. It's only up to you. Whereas a big publishing company, you got to let people reject you and all this kind of stuff and go around there and wait forever. No. Big publishing company are working in an outdated model, okay? Outdated model. Already, so if you want your book to come out in 18 months, that's their general time frame, then you'll be the stuff. But a whole lot is going to change in 18 months, okay? But you can be making some sales and touching people's lives in 18 months, so I wouldn't recommend that. I recommend self-publishing. So if you have a ministry, this is a good way to get your ministry names out there. Think about Amazing Facts 3ABN. They publish their own books. Then their company is on their books. So here we go. Traditional publishing route is the most difficult route. If you want to do that, right? You have the big names. You have Thomas Nelson, Zondervan. You have Hay House. You have Wiley, Hatchett. All of these, but they don't take little guys or new authors. But not only that, your royalty will most likely be less than $2. Sometimes it is cents. Okay. So imagine doing all this work. That's why many authors are discouraged. You don't realize most of these people, the royalty they get on their book is less than $1. Now, I don't know about you, Saints. I don't want to spend all that time with a book and just end up with less than $1. But self-publishing, basically you are the publisher. There's low to zero barrier of entry. It is the fastest route. It gives you also the full control over everything. You own everything of your book. Whereas in the one before, sometimes you can't tell the publisher what colors to use, how to design the book. Like they pretty much can control your stuff. If they want to change the title, they can do that. But if you self-publishing, all of that is up to you. And you generally get 35% if it's a print book, but generally 70% and more if it's a digital book. Now that beats $1 or less than $1 any day, anytime. Already? But you can also do a hybrid model, right? There are some publishers out there which is hybrid, means they give some semblance of traditional with the print on demand self-publishing kind of way. And these still do, they can be a little bit less, but it's generally 6 months to a year and a half. And some of the places where you can get these done, you have iUniverse, Zulon Press, Westbrook Press, Teach Services, those Adventists, that's what they do. Outskirts Press, Tate Publishing, Blurb, and Book Baby. I have a friend of mine, he just published his book with Book Baby, okay? So these are options you can do as well. I'd rather you do the hybrid over the traditional. But I would recommend number one, of course, is the self-publishing. All righty? Now, what are the publishing platform? Again, we go back there. You have Amazon Kindle. You have CreateSpace, which is no longer, but because everything now is done, because what Amazon used to do, the KDP was simply focused on digital books, CreateSpace was physical. But now they've merged and they do everything. So you have the physical books, the digital books, hardcover books, it's all there. New Press, Lulu, Kobo, Smashword, Apple iBooks, a ton load. Alrighty? You have unlimited options in that regards. Unlimited options are there for you. Alrighty? So, Joel, can you bring me back on the screen real quick? Am I on the screen? Okay. I want to just give you family, because we didn't cover the marketing, right? That's the quick way. So with that, your book is done, right? Remember, publishing, like I said, is the easiest part, because once you click that button on Amazon, submit, if they don't find any errors that you have to correct, which you will send back to whom? Your designer. If there's an issue, you send it straight to your designer. That's all I do. If when Amazon say, okay, we have this issue, need to fix it, I send it back to brother man or sister girl. I say, hey, this is what you need to correct. I just send them the email from Amazon and they fix it. I upload it again, bam. They normally says up to 72 hours, but I have found all my books get published the same day pretty much, right? So it takes about 72 hours to populate the entire Amazon ecosystem. So give me, I know we had 6, right? We had 6, but I started with some videos, so those don't count. Give me at least 5-7 minutes so I can share with you a little bit on the marketing the book, okay? So we're done. By the way, we're done. So that's how you create your book. You plan it out well, come up with a great title, focus on the things you know, the easy stuff, decide if it's going to be a cookbook, a devotional book, whatever it is going to be. The process is the same. If it's going to be a devotional or workbook, basically all you need is a good designer, because here's the thing. It's a whole bunch of blank pages. And you can intersperse the pages with a quotation or Bible verse if it's a faith-based. So that's what I'm saying. At a bare minimum, create your own journal. Because for the holidays, everybody likes journals. So create your own. You've been buying everybody else's journal. Why not buy your own journal? Already? Now, I don't mind you buying my journal. Praise the Lord if you do. But why not create your own? That's why I create my own. Because I have, like I said, over 20-something journals. I love journaling. I journal a lot. And so I say, hey, I'm going to stop buying other people's journals because I do use a lot. So therefore, I'm going to save myself some money. But I want my journal to be my way, right? Because I create them not just only journaling, but I have, some things like books in the beginning of each one. So I kind of, it's kind of like a 2 in 1. So I create books, teach something in the front, and then you go journal. But journaling is very easy. All you need is blank lines and maybe some nice cursive and some nice, things here and there, which your graphic designer can do. So basically, if you want to create a book right now and you don't have anything, but you really want to get it done, do a journal. Because all you need is blank pages, and the graphic designer can do all of that for you. You just put your name on there, you're good to go. Already? So you can have a journal out actually by next week. Devotional books, the same thing. All you need is 21 days. You just have, look at how some devotionals are done. They normally have if it's a faith-based book, it will have a scripture, a little bit of discussion, and a little bit of explanation, and then the rest of the lines is application. So that's all. So all you need is inspirational stuff at the top, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then the rest is blank pages. Do that 21 times or 30 times for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, and you have a journal right there, a devotional rather, to go with, okay? And you can have different themes and so forth, okay? The children's book, though, is a little more tedious, and that one does take time. That one does take time. I'm not going to lie if it's a color, because a designer has to design every single page, and it depends on their workload. Now, don't get me wrong, it can still be done, but you're probably going to have to find somebody who that's the only project they're working on, because it's not easy to just do all of this, right? It's full color, so they got to draw everything out sometimes with hands first and then go back and color and so forth and whatnot. So, it's possible still. I always believe in, stuff, but I'm just letting you be realistic. If you choose to do a full color children's book, you might just want to start with 8 pages, no more than 12 for the first one. Okay. If it's a workbook or activity book, then yeah, because inside it's all black and white for the most part. And then they can color it, and then standard cover. So let's talk about marketing real quick. Let me spend about 7 minutes. Give me 7 minutes to talk about marketing real quick. Joel, you can put this one on the screen. So take a screenshot, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit. So after the book is published, like this part right here is what almost no author think about. We get excited, and that was me too. We get excited. I'm going to write a book, praise the Lord, and then it's not selling and we get discouraged. Because here's the thing. Your book is a product. Like, think about it. It's just like a product. It's like a phone. It's like a car. It's like anything else. If no one knows about your book, how are they going to get it? So this is what most authors right here, this is where the majority, 99.9% of authors, this is where we fall down. Because we are excited about creating a product, but no one ever focus or tell us really about what goes into moving the product. So that's why we always focus on two things, product creation, but product movement. But basically, here's some of the things you want to do. Quickly, to promote your book, when your book is published, and even before, you want to, as it getting closer to release, you want to start thinking about getting interviews, get on TV, get on radio, do webinars, do book reviews, right? Do book readings. You can do all of this. Go to events. Let people know you wrote a book and you want to be part of their events to speak on there. Get other people to sell your book for you. We call that joint ventures and affiliates, right? Let other people sponsor the book. Find other distribution outlets. That's why your book should always be on Amazon. It's free. Lulu is free. Smashword is free. Apple iBooks, I think you just pay a one-time fee, but then after, even Google Books, right? There's so many others, right? So you can promote, you can also do press releases, get a media kit out there, let the news know. A lot of local news like to cover new people who are published in their community, and that's free. That's free press right there, right? Social media is a big one, right? You want to get on social media, you want to do Facebook advertising, you want to do free Facebook stuff, do a chapter. I know when I did my book on strategic secrets, every morning I would actually cover a chapter, and that was like free content, which became a blog as well. So it was free content. But every day I would actually read a chapter or explain a chapter of the book, and that was the way I kind of get it out there, right? So if you have some money, you want to pay for advertising, it's just like anything else, okay? So there's Google advertising, there's Facebook advertising, there's Bing advertising. Pay somebody, who knows how to market, who has a marketing company. Again, Tora Spraggs has a marketing company. I know Toronado Marketing. She does graphic design work as well. But you can also go back again to those same platforms, right? Fiverr. Now we're drawing blanks now. It's been a while now. So yeah, you have Fiverr, you have Upwork, you have all these different places, right? Even strategic secrets, but we only do digital advertising, right? We're only going to do Facebook, Google, and stuff like that. Don't do any other type of advertising. So that's what you want to do. So think about it. If you are able to create that, then you are good to go. Already? You are good to go. So that's what you do for marketing. Use as many channels, outlets as possible in order to get your book out there. Nonprofits is another good way, because a lot of nonprofits, they like to bring speakers in for things. So that's another way you can get your book out. So just like, for example, my brother here, right? Again, he came to speak to us. If he had his book ready, a lot of people can buy their books. And I love that when people come to speak, I like them to buy everything that people brought, because I know the work that goes in there, but I also know that you might not see this person again. So you might as well maximize everything and take all that they got, right? Teresia Williams, I'm trying to book her for the new year to come and speak to us on her book. So whatever your book is, if you're a faith-based person, man, contact all the churches in your community. Tell them you got a new book. I want to come and do a seminar, workshop, conference, or a sermon or whatever at your church. If it's for young people, I want to come there. If your book is for school, contact the school districts. Get every school district. There are a ton of schools. Certainly one of them is going to buy your book. And imagine if they buy a book for all the students. Wow, you said now you're on you're on another level. Okay? So those are the key ways of marketing. Now here's another way of making a lot of money in the book, is taking the book and turn it into other products. That's especially if you're a ministry. How are you going to sustain your ministry? That's why we say part of our stuff, how to sustain your mission, message, or cause. So you've seen it. You have chicken soup for the soul, for the married people's soul, for the Christian soul, for so and so. So you do a series. Take your one book, turn it into a series, multiple. Dr. Cooper, like I said, now she has Get Healthy for Life for adults. Now we have for kids. She's even make it into a vacation experience for kids. So many other things, right? People make movies. Think about it. A lot of movies are based on books too. That's another way. So that's what we're saying. There's a lot. That's where the big money comes in if that's what you are working on. So, but here's another way. So you have the book. Every book you create, at a minimum, it must be at least 2 or 3 different products. So you have the physical book, paperback, hardcover, and you have an ebook, and then you have also the audiobook. Voila, you can pay somebody $150 to speak your book. Now there are AI softwares that almost sound so close to regular human voice that you can even buy a software and have it speak your book as well. Okay? So a good place for that is Find a Way Voices. And then also Amazon ACX, you can find freelancers who are doing audio work, and they are able to speak your book for you if you don't want to do it. But you can buy a good mic and also do it yourself, okay? But my 2 books there, I have actually 3 books that are audiobooks, and I paid somebody to actually do it. And I use Find a Way Voices for that. I think it was like $150 an hour. To be able to speak the book. Not too bad, because most of your book is less than 3 hours, right? So that's another way. So now you are multiplying the ways in which people can purchase a book. So again, you have one book. So let's say the book is paperback. You have it in digital Kindle, EPUB, whatever it may be, Amazon, Apple iBooks. You have an audio recording of the book, have it in paperback, hardback, softback, whatever back you want to have it in there. You can put it in there. Now, what is everybody now into? Courses. This is the most lucrative of all. Everybody is buying courses. I think university is in trouble. You can turn your book into an online course. So for example now, because I notice the other things that you convert your book into generally cost more than the bare minimum price. So for example, people pay more for audiobook than for a regular digital book. Digital book is generally the cheapest. And then soft cover or paperback. And then more expensive is going to be the hardback, okay? And then the audiobook, and then the course, and then coaching and so forth. So let me show you how this works. Like, for example, my book on prayer. So this right here, which should be an audiobook. Well, no, I do have this in an audiobook. So I have this in an audiobook, ebook, and the soft cover. Not a hard cover, but I'm going to turn this into a journal. But this is an online course, right? So this online course, I think, is for $39 or $49, okay? Then we have Monetize Your Skills. So here I have 2 versions. I have the soft cover, which is about $14.99. Then the hardcover is about $24.99. And then you have the online course, which is $4.97 for that. And then people sometimes want you to coach on there. You can charge anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000. It all depends, okay? So that's what the whole world of expert marketing, expert industry, authority things. That's how Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, all of these names there, John Maxwell, that's how they are all able to create wealth for their ministry, their businesses. That's how. See, no one teaches us that. But now I'm giving you a little exposure, okay? I'm over my time, and so we can get into more of that in the future. But nonetheless, I want you, my challenge to you now, this is call to action, okay? Like if we're wrapping it up. What is your call to action? First, you want to do the assignments, if you haven't done it. Secondarily, I want you to give yourself a goal. For those of you who are ambitious, I want you to set a goal for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is around the corner. So you have 2 great opportunities here. Thanksgiving, Black Friday. These are the highest times for sales online in anything, okay? So this is a great opportunity for people to want to get stuff. So you can now tell people, hey, get my gift for this. Then now you have Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and right after New Year's. People are trying to change their life for the new year, especially if you're into health. Everybody's buying something health related for the new year. So these are wonderful opportunities. But not only that, but just to gift people your thing for the holidays is a great thing, right? I love giving people my books and so forth and whatnot. It really is a good feeling. So there you go. So you can take the challenge for either Thanksgiving, but no later than Christmas. When we say that though, we mean you must get out at least the second week, because by the third week there we're rolling into Christmas, right? So you want to get it out before, because that's when everybody is purchasing. And then if you're going to give gifts, if you do that type of thing, then guess what? You want to give them your own stuff. I tell you, people will look at you different. And not only that, but now you can open a bigger world, my friends. Stop playing small. God didn't create us to be just simply small. Not only that, but we have a mandate to turn our 1 talents into 5 and 10. Right? So those dormant areas of your life that you're not using, don't let nobody shame you into not utilizing the fullness of what God has given to you. Multiply yourself by creating these stuff, because I'm telling you, the people who are changing the world, think about it. Tell me one person that you know is changing the world right now in any industry who does not have at least a book. Go. Even in the faith-based space. My faith group, Doug Batchelor, does he have books? Ivor Myers, does he have books? Right? Sean Boonshaw, does he have books? Think about it. Dr. O, does he have books? They all have some type of book, product, program, or service that they are offering, because you as a one individual cannot reach the masses, but the masses are reading. Ellen White, she has books. Ton load of them. See the power of books? No matter what anybody says, books are always changing life. So that's it. That's the workshop for today. I hope that at least I give you some options, inspired you to be able to actually go out there and make a difference in this world through publishing books and then taking those books and creating other things that will transform lives. That's really what it's all about. May God richly bless you. Let me pray for you. Again, if you're not a person of prayer and faith, still take the prayer, because guess what? It's not going to hurt you, but it can possibly bless you, which I know if you believe in what I'm telling you in this book right there, it will bless you. So God Almighty, I want to thank you for the privileged opportunity of being able to be a vessel today to encourage, inspire somebody who have a message from you in their heart, that they've been thinking of creating something that can bless and inspire someone else. I pray, oh God, that you will give them the confidence, you will give them the strength to be able to follow through and create something. And I pray that, God, that you will surprise them, God, as you normally do. I pray that you will open doors of opportunities, swing them wide, that they can be able to gain access because of their book, that they can speak into people's life who they may not even meet, that they can speak to people all across the aisle, all across the world, simply because they took the knowledge that you give them, the wisdom, the talent, the experience, the education, and all that you have wrapped inside of them. And they captured it into writing a book and then creating a course, an audio program, or whatever it is. And now other people may even be in your kingdom because of the work that they did. And they did not let their light sit under a bushel, and worse, bury their talent because of fear that they cannot do this. Today we have shown absolutely anybody, any age, with any experience, we don't even have to have mastered English, that we can all write and publish. Bless us to this end, we pray. Amen and amen. God bless you, everybody. That's the end of the presentation. Take care.